Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Overreaction Monday Live. I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking about Aidan O'Connell, Bo Hardegree, and I do want to give my flowers to this Raiders defense because they have been playing really phenomenal football underneath Patrick Graham. As always, if you want to get those questions and comments on the show, you can use hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. And then at the very, very end of the show, we will be doing a 50-50 raffle. I know that yesterday's game was a very frustrating, disappointing game for a lot of Raider fans out there, but honestly, after going back, looking at a lot of the game tape that I did last night, I think I am the least frustrated that I have been in a very long time after a Raiders loss, because when you look at this team from top to bottom, this team does have a good defense, which is something that we haven't really been able to say for quite some time. The frustration comes because this was a very, very winnable game if your offensive coordinator is a little bit more aggressive, if you have a quarterback that's able to do a little bit more things. And I get that Aidan is a rookie, and he's going to get better and better and better, and that you have to have patience when you're rolling with a QB. But a lot of my frustration, I think a lot of frustration from people yesterday was we were hired Josh McDaniels, who apparently could do no wrong at the QB position. And yet the biggest question mark on this roster is at the quarterback spot. Jimmy Garoppolo's not better than Aidan O'Connell. Brian Hoyer is not better than Aidan O'Connell. And even though I am upset with the way AOC played, there is no way, shape, or form that I think that he should be benched. And I don't think anybody out there really thinks that he should be benched. The real question is, what exactly are the Raiders going to do next season? Because there is a lot of unknowns, which is exactly what we're going to be talking about on today's live show. Do you want Bo Hardegree to be the Raiders OC in 2024? Type yes, type no. I'm asking this question because one of the topics of discussion coming up here on our live show today is going to be potential offensive coordinators that the Silver and Black could hire if they decide to keep Antonio Pierce. And, here's the thing, right? If we're going to sit up here and say, oh, Mitch, you got to give Antonio Pierce a shot. Cool. If we're going to sit up here and say, hey, we got to give Aidan O'Connell a shot. Cool. Couldn't you say the exact same thing, though, about Bo Hardegree? Hey, he kind of just got thrown into the mix here. He didn't anticipate being the OC. So why don't we have to give him a little bit more time? I understand that a lot of times people always say you have to give them more time. But I'm also in the business of, if I see something, I'm going to say it. I knew Josh McDaniels wasn't going to be a good head coach. Why? Sometimes you can just read the writing on the wall. I'm not a big-time believer in Bo Hardegree, which is why, coming up here on today's show, I am telling you that I do not want Bo back next season. Do I appreciate what he's doing right now, kind of being thrown into a situation that, let's face it, he just simply wasn't prepared for, and that's not 100% on him. But if we're looking to just win, baby, commitment to excellence, get better and better and better every single season, this is a conversation that absolutely positively needs to be had. Now, I'm going to give some shout-outs here because I see Raider J says no. Suicide guns. We've said that. Our offensive line is trash from Brendan Tells. I hear you. Horrible blocking from Adam Sweeney. I do think that the offensive line could have been better, and to be honest with you, I think if we have Colton Miller, it's a totally different football game. But this game, to me, was lost because you were way too conservative on the offensive side of the football. And the thing that we used to always get mad at with Josh McDaniels, you just never learned to make any adjustments throughout the game. When you got an offense that scores 10 points in the first quarter and then 3 the rest of the game, and you still had a shot to win, that just kind of tells you what's going on right now with this offense. Now, today's show, y'all, is sponsored by PrizePicks, and we got PrizePicks because it's daily fantasy sports made easy. I can't wait for Monday Night Football tonight. This has probably been one of the most excited games that I have been wanting to watch that has been outside of a Las Vegas Raiders game because, let's face it, you got the Kansas City Chiefs, you got the Philadelphia Eagles, a little bit of a Super Bowl rematch, arguably the two best teams on both AFC and the NFC. And I'm telling y'all right now, what I'm doing tonight is this is my prize picks that I have put down. And if you want to play as well, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS. That link's going to be available to you guys down in the comments and in the description of today's show. But Isaiah Pacheco, rush yards, give me the more on that. I also have in my fantasy, actual league, and I need him to put up some points for me to get a win. Sky Moore, 16.5 receiving yards. I'll take the more on that as well. And then Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce, the more on the overall touchdowns. I kind of thought this was funny, and sometimes fantasy football is meant to be fun. So give me the more on that as well. All right, let's go to Rebel, Montana. Don't let Marshall in. Daddy doesn't need a hug. Yeah, I mean, credit to him. I mean, sometimes like teams just have other teams' numbers, and you got the New York Giants. They had a hell of a game against the Commanders, but as far as I'm concerned, I know this. If I'm over here, it's not easy for me to stop anybody from coming in that studio. So, Rebel, I hear you, though, my guy. I see another super chat coming in here from King. What is up, Mitch? Been a minute since I caught a live. What's up, King? I made the move to LV recently. What do you think we will draft as a QB in next year's draft? Well, luckily for you, coming up on today's show, I'm going to talk about some of the top quarterback prospects out there. And luckily, I also I basically ranked them which quarterbacks would I want the Raiders to draft and then have them compete with Aidan O'Connell, because there's a lot of good quarterbacks coming out next year's draft, but just because they're coming out next year's draft doesn't mean like I want Quinn Ewers over Aidan O'Connell. No, I'd still rather have Aidan O'Connell in 2024 than a QB like Quinn Ewers, but there's certain QBs in this upcoming draft that I'm sitting there going, well, I would rather have them instead of Aidan O'Connell. But you'll see it here in just a second. So we got 550 people watching. If you haven't already, make sure you guys click that like button right now. Believe it or not, it helps out very, very much with every single time that we do this show. I know that not everyone can super chat. I know that not everybody can join a live, but believe it or not, every time you click that like button, it helps out Chugs and I quite a bit. So my question next is this. Do you want Aidan O'Connell to be the Raiders quarterback in 2024? Type 4 for yes, or I want you to type your 0 for no. If you're like, Mitch, why am I typing 4? I hope I don't have to answer that. Javette Youngblood, yes. Robert, no. Suicide Guns, no. Steve Bowser, yes. Herman Schmid, yes. Michael Thorne, no. Oakland fan, yes. B-Rape, yes. And if you haven't already, make sure you go vote at the very, very top of our show. It's at the live poll. 53% of you say yes. 47% of you say no. And maybe you change your tone after today's show. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're like, hey, I want to see what Aidan does for the rest of the season. I want to see what Aidan does for the rest of the season as well. And you're going to find out the chances of him being the quarterback next year, I believe, in these next few weeks. Because you got the Chiefs, then you got a bye. Then you have the Vikings, Chargers, Chiefs. If you're able to win some of those tough games right there, that's going to speak volumes. And I mean volumes to Mark Davis, to Antonio Pierce, to Raider Nation, who's ever making the decisions. If you go out and you ball out during those weeks, that's going to be a tough decision next season where you're like, oh, man, what the hell do we do with this quarterback? Do we keep him? No matter what. Like, the only way I'm saying it's Aidan O'Connell's job is if he plays that much better than what he's been playing. The Raiders go to the playoffs, and not only go to the playoffs, you got to win a playoff game. That's the only way it's a locked and loaded. The best case scenario for the Raiders is you find a QB that's not named like Drake May, Caleb Williams, maybe even like a Penix Jr. or something like that, and then you find another quarterback and you have him compete with Aidan O'Connell. The only problem with that perfect scenario, which I think a lot of Raider fans are like, yeah, why don't we just draft a QB and have him compete with Aidan? I get it, but if you were to draft a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, and if you're going to run an offense for Jaden Daniels and then run an offense, the same offense for Aidan O'Connell and see which one's better, that's not you doing the best with your quarterback. That's not you doing the best with your overall talent, because the offense Aidan O'Connell's going to run is going to be a lot different of an offense than what Jaden Daniels is going to run. But my answer on whether or not I want the Raiders to keep AOC next year is going to be coming up here on today's show. And you know what? Let's welcome in my good buddy, Jeremy Chugs, and looks like we got a picture here.
Yeah.
What is it?
This was sent in by Queen Sarah Otto.
Okay.
Her son made Antonio Pierce out of Legos. Look at that.
Dude, that's pretty dope.
A little Antonio Pierce.
Oh, my God. That's pretty sick.
Had to show some love to Queen Sarah Otto.
The next homework assignment is I want a Chugs action figure out of Legos. It
just has a boot.
Can I get a Chugs one? I want a Chugs Lego.
Just had to shout it out because I thought that was something cool that just came in.
That's pretty dope. Sarah, thanks for sending that. Also, happy birthday. I know your son had his birthday the other day. Chugs and I made a video, sent it to him, singing happy birthday. So Shout out to the great Queen.
Speaking of coaches,
Patrick Graham. Do you want him back as the defensive coordinator in 2024? I want you to type PG for yes, or I want you to type nah for no. While we're getting those votes coming in, I will give some shout-outs here, but also got a super chat rolling in here from John Scheffler. Remember, if you send in a super, you get to skip the line. AOC can be a solid quarterback, but I don't see elite. Oh, I think you mean eliteness in him. What does eliteness inside of somebody look like?
never mind.
Yeah. Besides that, you need a quarterback that you can get out of the pocket and make plays. He's not that guy. You know, my take on Aidan O'Connell has always been the exact same take, where Aidan is going to be a very successful quarterback in the NFL. He's just going to be a successful backup. And that's an okay trait to have. Like, the NFL needs to have successful backups. To me, I don't look at Aidan as being a starting quarterback. I've never looked at Aidan O'Connell as really being a true NFL starting quarterback. Now, with that being said, I wanted O'Connell to start this season for the Raiders because he was the best option over Jimmy Garoppolo. He was the best option over Brian Hoyer. So just because I've been screaming off from my rooftop saying, hey, put in Aidan O'Connell, start him, I can say that, but I can also say that I don't know if he's going to be your long-term answer, because I agree with a lot of the things that you're saying. He doesn't have very good pocket awareness. He hangs on to the football a little bit too long. He's got a below-average arm. Yes, he's got good accuracy. Yes, he has good anticipation. He does have a little bit of happy feet, and I'm hoping that he gets better, and he's going to get better this season. And I agree that I would love to know what Aidan O'Connell looks like run by an offense that wasn't started by Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. I would love to know what an Aidan O'Connell offense looks like without Bo Hardegree. But unfortunately, this is the world that we live in, and next season, you have a decision to make. Whoever that new head coach is going to be, do you roll with Aidan O'Connell, who was handpicked by McDaniels, or are you going to roll with your very own quarterback? I mean, the way I look at it is you're probably going to roll with your own QB.
It's crazy because there's a conversation to be had of, you know, everybody's like, oh, the Bears should have taken Patrick Mahomes at 2. The Bears should have done this. Would Patrick Mahomes be the same quarterback if he started out with the Bears with that team?
No.
Would he be what we think of Patrick Mahomes today?
No, I definitely don't think so. I mean, every single situation is always like that, right?
Yeah.
Like where situation is a big, like Brock Purdy's even a good example of that, where, you know, I don't think Brock Purdy is Brock Purdy if he's on a lot of other teams, right? I mean, that's just the way that it is. I do understand that I see a lot of people in the chat right now, they're like, you guys realize, like I just saw one, y'all forget he's a rookie from Black, Grade out. I don't know what that is. Nobody forgets that he's a rookie, but you're allowed to be frustrated even if he's a rookie. Like, yeah, you're going to roll with the punches this season, but that doesn't mean that you have to roll with those same punches next season.
And I feel like if you're pulling the rookie card, I think more mental. Yeah. I think more he's not reading the field good. He's not doing, going through his progressions. Some of the throws yesterday with AOC,
he was bad yesterday.
You can't pull the rookie card when you airmail a ball 5 yards over Devontae Adams' head.
Yesterday, Aidan O'Connell was worse yesterday than what he was week 4 against the Chargers. Like,
I agree.
He got pressured way more, and every single statistic proves that way more against the Chargers. I see Gary Rosso says it's lazy to blame the quarterback. It is lazy to blame the QB. But when the quarterback was bad yesterday, and that's what he was, Aidan was not good. If you had a quarterback that played like a top 32 quarterback in the NFL, the Raiders win that game.
Now, at the same time, if there's a play where Devontae Adams is wide open and the quarterback airmails it 5 yards over his head, who do you blame? I would love to know who else should be to blame for an overthrown ball.
The way that I blame yesterday's game is, at number 1 is Bo Hardegree. To me, Bo Hardegree, the Raiders' offensive play calling was shameful. I was so upset of how bad that play calling was. It was so conservative. Today, Antonio Pierce talked about how conservative it was, but to me, it's Bo. And then after that, it is Aidan O'Connell. But when you're the quarterback, you are going to get a lot of blame, and then it's the offensive line to me.
I was going to say, sneaky blame candidate, Thayer Munford did not have a great game yesterday.
I mean, that's one of those low-key things that I think a lot of Raider fans aren't picking up, and it was something that we talked about yesterday. Like, you can be frustrated, Bo Hardegree. You can be frustrated.
Venom Sosa. What's up?
with Aidan O'Connell. But I mean, I honestly believe that if the Raiders have Colton Miller and Miller's able to play left tackle and Jermaine's able to play his normal position at right tackle, it's a totally different game. Like, you got to give your flowers to the Dolphins defense. Jalen Ramsey had a freaking hell of a game yesterday. I was very impressed by both the edge rushers from Miami and Jalen Phillips and Chubb. And Xavier Howard's a hell of a player.
And at the end of the day,
But Munford struggled.
At the end of the day, you can pass along a lot of blame. You can do a lot, But also, this Miami team is good. Like, at the end of the day, it's not like the Raiders like the Raiders played up to the competition. They played a really good game on defense. The offense, had a moment where they were able to drive the ball and then kind of regressed later in the game. But at the end of the day, they played a good football team yesterday. It's not like they lost to. Could you imagine losing to the Giants?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'll say this, and Daniel Caps-Keenan said allowing 20 points versus Miami is great. Allowing 20 points to Miami while also being put in the situations that this Raiders defense has been put in all season. I mean, for the first time in a long time, the Raiders have a good defense, right? Like, that's why I don't want to hit the panic button too much. And a lot of the Raiders players that I talked to yesterday after the game were like, honestly, this is probably the most even keel that we've been after a Raiders game because they know that they're on the right path. The Raiders are going to be in every single football game with a defense the way that their defense is playing right now. Like, that's how talented this unit has been playing, which is crazy to me because if I look at them on paper, it's like you don't have all these elite guys. You have some good football players.
Also,
the loss of Marcus Epps is going to hurt, but they're playing together as a team.
Scheffler super chatted again. I don't think we've.
I didn't even see it. The old regime was too chicken shit to move up in the draft and give what it took to get what they wanted. The problem and the reason why they didn't do it, and again, this is something that we talked about back in April. This is something that we talked about back in March. And it was something that we talked about, which was C.J. Stroud was Dave Ziegler's favorite guy. Josh McDaniels liked Bryce Young. Bryce Young would have been the guy that the Raiders would have traded up for if McDaniels got his say, and Ziegler wanted them to trade up for Stroud. Since they couldn't agree on it, that's why Carolina was willing to give up more to go up to number one.
There were those rumors that, Chicago would have let, the Raiders trade up to number one, but the Raiders were not willing to give up Davante Adams in that trade. Yeah,
there's going to be, there was a report that came out right before the game on Sunday that the New York Jets are going to show interest in trading for Davante Adams next offseason, which they probably should, right? Like, if I am the Jets and I have Aaron Rodgers, you should show interest in Davante. Doesn't mean that you're going to get him because the Raiders have already paid him for 2024. But I'll tell you this, if you're Las Vegas and you don't know what your quarterback situation is, if the New York Jets say, hey, we're going to give you 2 first-round picks, I do think that the Raiders are going to sit there and they're going to go, oh, man, that's going to be – I mean, that might be a tough thing to pass up on. Again, I don't know if they're going to have the ability to do the 2 first-round picks because I forget how the Rodgers contract ends up working out.
Ars Torres, are there any solid left tackles that we can sign right now?
Probably not, dude.
No.
Colton, from what I understand, I was messaging Colton last night, and he didn't want to rush it back, and basically the whole plan is he's going to play this week against Kansas City. That's what he told me. Again, he also said that he was trending in the right direction last week.
Without any unforeseen circumstances coming up.
Yeah, I mean, Antonio Pierce didn't play Amik Robertson yesterday because he didn't want to put Amik in a bad spot, and he even said it where he was like, hey, I've been a player too. Just because you get cleared doesn't mean that you always need to go out there. And it's kind of the exact same thing that he did with Colton Miller where they didn't want to push it too much. I think if it was up to Colton, he would have played yesterday. But the coaching staff said, you know what? I want you healthy for Kansas City in Week 12. That way then you get an extra week in Week 13 to heal up and then keep it moving here going forward.
And
so
Eric Fisher, Taylor Lewan.
He stinks.
I mean,
both
guys,
are injured. No.
Those guys injured, haven't played in a year. If you watch Taylor Lewan, if you have seen any of his, which one, I don't think he would want to come back to football. He's making enough money on the side doing podcasting, not putting his body on the line. But 2, if you've seen the Bussin' with the Boys podcast with Taylor Lewan, he's not in football shape. He's lost like 30, 40 pounds. He's skinnier. Yeah. He's not a left tackle in. Oh, my God. Get out of here.
Get out of here. Yeah, Kevin, Marcus Peters struggling. I mean, Marcus
my
Peters is making
All right.
business decisions left and right.
We're going to get into the first segment on today's show.
Sounds good. But
We need 10 more likes. We need to get 200 likes. Who's going to be that person who steps up and likes the video? We need 8 more likes.
I should mention this. We will be doing a 50-50 raffle at the end of today's show. I also don't know if you saw the Texans. They just signed Desmond King to their practice squad. Could be a short after this. I don't know. But
yeah.
we are going to be doing a
That's a good
50-50 raffle. $10 to get in. If anybody wants to get in, we will do it at the very, very end of today's show.
You can get as many
tickets as you want.
Like.
After a Raiders loss, I'm like, let's give some money out. Let's have a little bit of fun here. I got 3 segments coming up here just because this week is going to be a little bit different for Chugs and I. We're not going to be working on Thursday, so you're going to get 3 segments today, 3 segments tomorrow, and I might even make a video during Thanksgiving, like weekend, if any rather like random stuff pops up. But I thought you were
going to say like short your house spread.
So that was actually going to be something I was going to tell you. I want you to take a picture or make a video of your Thanksgiving Day spread, and I'm going to do the exact same thing, or like make your plate, and I'm going to do my plate. And I say that we put it on social media and let people vote since we've been talking about it so much.
Okay. Well, me and you, we're unlike Reetma. Our food's going to be touching.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Do you think Reetma just gets like 7 plates? You think Reetma just gets like 7 individual plates of things?
I just picture Reetma eating off of like those like Zoo Pal plates. You know what I mean?
I know exactly. Where it's the face and it's the 2 and the 1.
And everything's just like...
The little ears are on the side? Yeah.
I just picture him just... There's a ladybug, probably a frog in there.
The tiger was my favorite.
The tiger? Yeah, see, if you can't eat food if it's touching, and that's what we lost to yesterday. That's who runs our Dolphin show. That's why I'm struggling today.
That's who we lost.
That's why I'm struggling today.
All right, coming up, we have offensive coordinator candidates.
Say that a few times fast. It's tough.
I just tried.
Also, shout out to Avery. I was finally able to wear the jersey today. I also got 2 other jerseys that I've never worn before here on the Raiders Report, which I'll break out today. But because there was some frustration yesterday between quarterback OC, we're going to talk about some replacements. What?
Martin's like, what do I do during Thanksgiving?
Oh, Martin?
Is there an English version of Thanksgiving?
I have no idea.
Petey? You've been to London. Is there a England-London equivalent to Thanksgiving? Is there like an London equivalent to Thanksgiving?
Petey's telling me no.
Huh? Canadians have Thanksgiving?
Nico
like
LaRoe.
The same as us? Turkeys?
Nico.
I did not know that.
I see Nico asking for a referral code for PrizePicks.
That's why Petey's a smart guy.
Code CLNS.
Even though his trivia team's behind mine in the standings, he's still a smart guy. Petey knows Triv.
Nico, I put it right above the message that you replied with, yo. So click on that link, use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. And also, first-time super chatter coming in here from Austin Anders.
I was going to say last one, and then we're going to get into the segment.
What's up, Austin? Also, one person is in this duck race. I'll let you guess who.
Does his name rhyme with Rico Raz?
It actually doesn't. It rhymes with Ack Arton. Zach Martin, you in. You're so in, man. Yesterday was still a step in the right direction. I agree. The Eagles can make me feel a little bit better with shitting on the Chiefs tonight. Go Raiders. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be rooting for the Birds tonight, no doubt about it.
We have some conflicting Canadian Thanksgiving.
Oh, really?
Adam says no one in the UK celebrates Thanksgiving, including Canada. Oh.
I don't know, man.
I got to trust Petey on this one. He's a trivia guy.
But the Raiders are moving in the right direction. Like you can tell.
He said October 14th, and then Canadian Halloween is November 14th.
Is it?
No.
I have no idea. But I do agree that this team is going in the right direction. I think that the defense is clearly getting a lot better. But this team, they're playing tough football. Like, they're playing together. They have absolutely positively taken on the identity of Antonio Pierce, which, I mean, let's face it, you look on paper, the Raiders and the Dolphins, I do think the Dolphins are clearly the better team. But when your defense plays tough-nosed football and they go out there and they try to hit you in the mouth every single play, it can be contagious. And I think that's what you're seeing right now from this Raiders team. All right, y'all, coming up here on the Raiders Report, we're going to get into some OC candidates. Also, Mo Chavez, you in, and then Alfredo Ramirez.
Rebel, y'all caught me. Y'all caught me.
What?
I accidentally pushed the intro sound before whenever we were going to Austin's Super Chat, and I think a couple of people heard it because it went like...
Oh, really? Well, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. All right, here we go.
Producer, 5-second penalty, replay, first segment.
Starting now. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. Coming up on today's show, I have my top offensive coordinator candidates for the Las Vegas Raiders that they could potentially hire in 2024 if they decide to keep Antonio Pierce as the head coach. Like, let's face it here. I know that this Raiders offense can play a lot better, and they are definitely trending in the right direction. I could not be happier that this team finally decided to move on from Josh McDaniels, that they decided to move on from Mick Lombardi, and I understand that Bo Hardegree right now is in a little bit of a difficult situation because he's not ready to be an OC. But you know what? We're going to roll with the punches this year, and I can't wait to see what the Raiders decide to do next season. My answer to this is simple. No, I do not want Bo Hardegree to be the Raiders offensive coordinator in 2024. And the reason why I made this video is because if I had to guess, right now, based off the votes that are going to come in for this question, I'm going to say 90 to 95% of the people that watch this video go ahead and say, no, I don't want Bo Hardegree. However, I've been asked, Mitch, well, if you don't want Bo Hardegree, give us some candidates out there that this team could hire, which is exactly what I'm going to do. And the reason why that I don't want Bo is because I need excitement. The Raiders need excitement. Raider Nation needs an exciting offense that when you watch it, it's like watching your favorite movie. It's like going through, I don't know, wedding pictures. You just stop, look, and enjoy. Because right now what I'm looking at is a boring vanilla offense, and we have had a boring vanilla offense for as long as I feel like I've been doing this show. It is time to get it spiced up a little bit. In today's day and age, if you can't run a fun and exciting offense, I'm sorry. You're just wasting everybody's time. So it's time to hire somebody that can actually put the players and the pieces together to get this offense clicking. Now, I know this, man. When the Raiders decide to hire a new offensive coordinator, I will be going live here on the show. I'm not going to be live for 26 hours, but maybe 6 hours. Shout out to Avery and all the loyal Raiders Report watchers here. I don't want you to miss it. We're going to be partying. We're going to be having a good time. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you got those notifications turned on because when the Raiders hire an OC, I don't want you to miss it. All right, now I don't have these guys ranked in any particular order. I just decided to throw together some names, and I have 9 coaches that I want you guys to keep an eye on here. First name is Jared Johnson, okay? Gerard Johnson. And when I say some of these names, your homework assignment after looking at some of these guys is go watch how they're coaching. Go watch how some of their players maybe talk about them. Search up their name on Instagram, Twitter. Get more information because Johnson is a young coach who is getting tons of hype. And I have said multiple times on the show that I would like to be able to go a little bit of a younger regime because I think that they're more able and they have the ability to communicate with a lot of the players on the roster. He was a longtime NFL backup quarterback, so sure, he did not have a lot of success in terms of actually playing football. However, if you're going to keep a guy like Antonio Pierce, who was a player coach, I do think bringing in an OC that's also a potential player coach speaks volumes. And then on top of that, if you don't know what you're going to do at the quarterback position, even if you know that you're going to keep Aidan O'Connell, you need to figure out that QB spot. And he was the Vikings assistant quarterbacks coach last season when Kirk Cousins had one of the best seasons that he's ever had, and the Vikings were winning a bunch of games. And what he's doing this season is absolutely spectacular for C.J. Stroud. Don't get me wrong. C.J. Stroud is no doubt the Rookie of the Year. And Stroud is doing everything to show you that he doesn't only deserve to be in that Rookie of the Year conversation, he should honestly be in that MVP conversation. D'Amico Ryans deserves a lot of credit. Pep Hamilton deserves a lot of credit. But I also think Gerard Johnson deserves a lot of credit because, well, he is the quarterback's coach after all. Let's go to the next name here, and I'm going to hopefully get this one right. Kevin Patullo, Eagles pass game coordinator. And a lot of the times what coaching staffs do, regimes do, is they say, okay, well, this offense is having some success. Well, who are they learning underneath? Oh, all right, that's pretty cool. Let's go with that guy. And you're going to see a lot of names like that on today's show. And with Patullo here, he's done a good job with Jalen Hurts, and Hurts has been on this team for, quite some time now. He was drafted, second round 3 years ago at this point, 2021. So Patullo, though, I think you've seen how much better Hurts has gotten, not only as an athlete, a decision maker, but most importantly, as a quarterback. He started coaching in 2003 at South Florida, where he also played college football. So another player here, again, has some playing experience, has a lot of coaching experience from college, but he specializes in quarterbacks and wide receivers. That's where he's had a lot of his other jobs, if you will. And if I'm the Raiders here, I'm looking at how much talent I have in my wide receiver room in Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers, and I'm saying, okay, I got Trey Tucker for next season. How do I get the most out of my wide receivers? How do I get the most out of my quarterback room? I do think that Patullo is definitely somebody to look at. Let's go to another name here, which this one might be controversial, but in the NFL, sometimes you need a scapegoat. And I believe that Ken Dorsey was a scapegoat for the Buffalo Bills and their struggling offense because I've talked to a lot of people. One of my really good buddies works for the Bills. I went to high school with him. And he's like, a lot of the players, a lot of coaches were heartbroken when they found out that Dorsey was fired. And he got fired last week, and some of you are like, well, if he got fired and he wasn't good enough to be with the Bills, why do you want to bring him in? Because to me, sometimes, unfortunately, when certain people can't get fired, maybe like your head coach, or maybe Josh Allen just was playing bad football because Josh Allen at times plays really bad and for whatever reason doesn't seem to get blamed for his poor play. So now they blame Ken Dorsey. They shifted him on out of here. I think he's one of the better offensive-minded coaches in the league, and because of that, I would be more than willing to bring in Ken Dorsey to be our offensive coordinator. I think he'd do a phenomenal job. Would I want to give him a quarterback of his choosing? Yeah. However, though, I do think that he could do a halfway decent job with a guy like Aidan O'Connell. I still got 6 more coaches and candidates to get into here on today's show, so please don't go anywhere. For those of you that are watching this live, for those of you that are watching this on a later date, hey, it's all good, but I do got to show some love to today's sponsor, PrizePicks. And anybody out there that's like, hey, I like fantasy football. You like fantasy football? You. I'm talking to you, Jordan. I'm talking to you, John. Jonathan Morrow. I'm talking to all of you. If you like playing fantasy football, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. So PrizePicks is daily fantasy sports made easy. And for me on Monday, what am I going to do when I go home tonight? Obviously, I'm going to watch Chiefs and Eagles, but also I'm going to throw some money around. I'm going to be locked and loaded into that game, and hopefully I have 10, 20 bucks down, have a good time, a little bit of entertainment, sit there with my fiance Alex, and have a chance to make $100 tonight. I took the more on Isaiah Pacheco on the overall rushing yards. Give me the more on Sky Moore for 16.5 receiving yards. I mean, life's too short, right? And then Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce combined touchdown. There is nothing that would make me more happy as if I hit this and Travis Kelce wasn't the one that scored the touchdown. But that's what PrizePicks is. That's what fantasy is all about. It's easy and exciting daily fantasy, and I want you guys to go try it out. So, Nation, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That link's going to be available to you guys down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. All right, we're going to keep it moving here on the Raiders Report. Remember, we're looking for Bo Hardegree replacements in 2024. I have my top 9 offensive coaching candidates that I believe could be a good OC. So far we have Gerard Johnson, Kevin Patullo, Ken Dorsey, Now we're going to go with the Detroit Lions, their pass game coordinator, and Tanner Engstrand. Hopefully I pronounced that name correctly. But overall, like I mentioned with Kevin Patullo, and like I've mentioned with, Gerard Johnson, sometimes I'm going to pick coaches based off the tree that they have been under. And right now he's in the 4th season with the Detroit Lions. He was the Lions tight end coach in 2022, and Detroit's tight end room combined for 12 touchdowns. That was most in Lions history. He also was able to have 3 tight ends have multi-touchdown games. It was the first time in NFL history throughout the season. He worked with Jim Harbaugh at San Diego, and he worked with him at Michigan. So he's got some good coaching ties on top of that. Plus, though, I want to be able to find a coach. I want to be able to find an offensive coordinator that can match Antonio Pierce's, I want to run through a wall. I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for. His moxie, his just, I need to find somebody that's like Antonio Pierce. And right now, Dan Campbell, the Lions head coach, has spoke volumes about how Tanner brings that mojo. He brings that energy. And I need that energy on the offensive side of the football because I think it's going to mesh really well with Antonio Pierce. Now, we're going to be getting into some college coaches coming up here in just a second, but I do think that this is an important question. Like, you don't have to just pick from the NFL. You can look at the college ranks, and I'm going to be giving you guys some college coaches that I would potentially look at to be the next OC. So should the Raiders stick with the NFL, type NFL, or should they go to college? I want you to type CFB. Really curious to see what you guys have cooked up here. Let's go to the next name here on my list, and it's Mike Denbrock, the LSU offensive coordinator. Some people might say, Mitch, I don't know if that is an upgrade going from OC to LSU to an OC for the Raiders, but let me make this clear. This guy and the next person I'm about to mention, the only way that I believe that you make this hire is if you draft the quarterback that they're working with right now. So if the Raiders are like, man, I love Aidan Daniels, he's my guy, this is going to be the quarterback that we target because we're not going to have an opportunity to get a Drake May, Caleb Williams, because we're not going to trade up to get them, but we're going to target Jaden. I do think going out and finding somebody like Denbrock is kind of interesting. He was the Cincinnati OC from 2018 to 2021. That program did a lot of really, really good things that season, or honestly, all those seasons. Cincinnati now is a halfway decent program. And then you got, coaching college football since 1986. He's an older guy. He's 59 years old. But I do think having that relativeness, if you plan on going out and getting a guy like Aidan Daniels, hiring a guy like Mike Denbrock here does make some sense. Let's go to another name here, and this is a name that I would love for the Raiders to be able to get. Ryan Grubb, the Washington offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Grubb's offense here for Washington has been spectacular. I mean, it's arguably the best offense in all of college football. You got 3 great receivers. You have Michael Penix Jr., and kind of like what I said about Aidan Daniels, if the Raiders want to draft Penix Jr. because they don't think that they can get Drake May, they don't think that they can get Caleb, I do think that Grubb should be somebody that's targeted. On top of that, I know how much you guys love Fresno State, so I went back, I looked at a lot of the numbers, and his offenses when he was at Fresno State were very spectacular. I'm a big believer if you have a lot of success at a bunch of different levels, chances are you're probably a pretty damn good coach. So you bring in Grubb to be your OC to spark this offense a little bit because every single offense that this guy has touched, it's been pretty damn successful. Let's go to the next name here. I got Deuce Staley, the Panthers assistant head coach and running backs coach. And Deuce Staley is a dude that I have the utmost respect for, and I think him and Antonio Pierce would be a very nice combination because to me, I look at Antonio Pierce and what he brings to that defensive side of the football. I think that's what exactly Deuce Staley is going to bring to the offensive side of the football. He has worked under Andy Reid, Chip Kelly, Doug Peterson, and Staley became a vocal leader on Dan Campbell's staff last year as the Lions' assistant head coach. Sometimes you need guys that are leaders, and from an X's and O standpoint, I have no idea how successful Staley is going to be. I'll be real with you. I do not know. But I do think that you have to be able to form a great coaching staff and a coaching staff that is very alike. You have Antonio Pierce. Players would run through a wall from him. When you hear a lot of players talk about Deuce Staley, they would run through a wall for Deuce Staley. And now you got the Raiders defense playing at the way that it's been playing underneath Patrick Graham. I'm telling you what, I like that combination of coaches all together, which is why Deuce Staley makes my list. I got a few more candidates coming up here, but for those that do not know, today is my dad's birthday, and I have absolutely positively no idea if he's going to be watching the show, but all I want you guys to do is spam HBD down below, and he's got a message for you. He's a little bit hungover. Yesterday during our Raiders watch party against the Dolphins, every time somebody sent in a $50 super chat, I said he'd take a shot. Well, he was hurting yesterday. He sent me a picture. He had like the fireball in his hand. Bottom line is this. I know you guys have my back, but the fact that you guys were willing to wish my dad a happy birthday, I had multiple people reach out to him. That's one of the biggest thank yous I could ever do. This is a big-time family to me. I love what we've been able to create on here, and the fact that people were showing love to my dad a few weeks ago in Las Vegas, and then today for his birthday. It's an absolutely beautiful thing. So, Dad, happy birthday. I love you. All right, we're going to keep it moving here. Let's go to Jake Peets, the Rams pass game specialist. And I'm curious to see how many Raider fans remember Peets here because, believe it or not, he did work with the Raiders back in 2017 to 2019, which was one of the years that Derek Carr made the Pro Bowl, right? We remember that. However, I will admit, you go back and you actually look at a lot of those years, and that was not the best of Derek Carr. Was it because of the injury? I like to believe so. But to me, again, I like to look at coaching trees. I like to look at people who I think have worked with the right coaches because, let's face it, that's who you're going to learn underneath, right? He's worked underneath Nick Saban, which I like coaches that learn underneath Nick Saban because I like the structure that Saban really tries to run and what he does at Alabama. That doesn't mean that I want an old school mentality coach like a Saban. No, but I think when you combine that with somebody like Sean McVay, head coach of the Los Angeles Rams, and you can see a lot of the innovative stuff that Los Angeles has done, a lot of the innovative stuff that McVay's done, and honestly, a lot of the coaches that have been underneath McVay when they have gone on to other places have had some success. So when you combine all that, I think Pete's could be an interesting spot there for an offensive coordinator. And then the last name here, in full transparency, if you told me right now, based off of me having Antonio Pierce as my head coach, and then having Patrick Graham as my defensive coordinator, the number one person that I would want, Joe Blameyer, okay? And I get it. Some of y'all are going to look at him and like, oh, he's a Chiefs guy. Cool, we get an inside scoop on what they're doing over there. But he's the pass game coordinator, and he's been with Kansas City since 2016, and he's been working his way up that coaching tree for quite some time. Andy Reid has praised him for the work that he's been able to do with some of the innovative schemes that he comes up with, his creative concepts. Reid really hypes up this guy. And then back, I want to say in like 2020 or 2021, there was a big-time play. It was one of the biggest plays that the Chiefs had in their playoff run that, he created apparently, right? Like, I want somebody where Andy Reid says, you know what, I trust you. And Patrick Mahomes goes, you know what, I trust you. And the fact that they have the ability to be like, hey, let's get a little bit fun, let's get a little bit crazy, because to me, if you give this guy an athletic quarterback, and there's a lot of athletic quarterbacks in this year's draft, I'm saying I wouldn't want him if you kept Aidan O'Connell. But if you're saying, hey, man, let's go out, let's get an athletic QB, maybe somebody like Penix Jr., a Caleb Williams, a Jaden Daniels, somebody that just has more of that athletic overall ability, Joe Blameyer, man, definitely a name to keep in mind. So those are my top coordinators, right? And that list is going to change. There's going to be new names that probably pop up. There might be some names on that list that after the end of the season I go, well, they didn't finish the season the way that I was hoping. And that is the way that it is. But at the time that I am making this video right now, those are coordinators that I would want the Raiders to keep an eye on. So my question of the nation is if you made it this far in the video, first off, shout out to all of y'all. But who do you want the Raiders offensive coordinator to be next season? I'm going to be looking to see some of the answers, and I'm going to be giving some shout-outs coming up here live on the Raiders Report. One more time here, let's go through the Raiders 2024 OC candidates that I would want them to hire over Bo Hardegree. Gerard Johnson, very interesting name there, has done phenomenal work with C.J. Stroud. Kevin Patullo, Ken Dorsey, Tanner Engstrom with the Lions pass game coordinator. Then you got Mike Denbrock, some college coaches, Ryan Grubb, Deuce Staley, Jake Peets, and then Joe Blameyer. I think that's how you pronounce it. The Chiefs pass game coordinator. To me, all of these guys are better options than Bo. Well, the Raiders are going to roll with the punches for the rest of the season. They have to. And when you fire your coach, when you fire your offensive coordinator, you will have to roll with the punches. But you do also have to start preparing for next season. Go to organizations, they start preparing right away. Now, if you guys want to give me a follow on Instagram or on Twitter, you already know. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365. I do my best to check my DMs. Obviously, it gets a little bit crazy during the season. But when I do get my free time, usually sitting down, get some marks on my thighs. You guys know what I'm talking about. I do my best to respond. Appreciate all of y'all. Bottom line, hopefully the Raiders get a brand new OC next season that can finally get us a top 10 offense to pair potentially with the top 10 defense. Should the Raiders hire a college or NFL coach? Where do you stand on this, Jugs? And I'm going to go change my jersey real quick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm really indifferent because, I think it depends on the guy. Like, I think the two college guys that you put out there, I would 100% agree with if they're going to go with those quarterbacks. If they're going to go with Michael Penix or Jaden Daniels, I think those coaches could fit well with them. So I wouldn't mind a college football coach, but it has to be from a prolific offense. It has to be from a Washington or an LSU or a program like that. Maybe even a Texas. I like their offense from time to time.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think, again, if you're going to go those routes, like you have to get the quarterback that they've been working with. I think that's why you do those type of hires there, and you give them a little bit more money to bring in those coaches because, again, you're going from offensive coordinator to offensive coordinator. However, I do think that most people would look at college to NFL as a what's the right word? A promotion. Some head coaches different, coordinators.
Because we were talking about a couple different guys, and there's guys who now it's a little bit more muddy with everybody's titles. Because I feel like there's a lot of guys who it's like have crazy titles, like Deuce Staley, assistant head coach / running game coordinator / running backs coach. We were thinking like, oh, Brian Johnson from the Eagles, but he's OC / quarterback coach / pass game
sure,
a mixture. And in the NFL, you're not going to make you want to make a move that's going to propel your career forward.
Sure.
If you're already an OC somewhere, I don't think you're going to switch to an OC somewhere else.
Yeah, like I see some people are saying like Harbaugh or Cliff Kingsbury. Like I'm not going to do Cliff Kingsbury's terrible coach.
What if you traded for Patrick Mahomes? Then would you do Cliff Kingsbury? College guys.
Sure. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Back to Daryl.
What up, Daryl? Went to work. I'm a plumber. Hurt like hell trying to work on a foot that been shot and was broke. Go Raiders. I'll tell you this.
Not by himself.
Yeah, I can't imagine one getting shot in the foot.
I see some Daryl Bevels in there too.
Two, I don't want Bevel. His offenses stunk. Like, yes, early on when he was with Seattle, his offenses were good. But you look in recent years now with Bevel, and his offenses were just terrible.
A lot of people also saying Byron Leftwich.
Same thing. Like, I don't know if I want Byron anymore.
He got fired from Tampa Bay.
Byron was bad. Like, he was good for a little, and then teams figured out his offense, which was basically a worse version than Bruce Arians, which was let's just air it out, let it fly. Again, like it depends who your quarterback is. It depends who your offensive coordinator is going to be for a lot of this stuff. Paul Guenther, now you're trolling. Paul Guenther would be the last guy I would ever hire. Again, he's a defensive coach, but I'm with G Money, dude from the Queefs. What up, G Money? Let's keep it rolling here on the show.
Dude from the Queefs.
Also, again, only 3 people so far in our 50-50 raffle. We're going to do that at the very end of today's show. $10 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365 for a chance to win a little bit of money. So right now we got 3. So right now the winner gets $15. The winner will get 15. I'm hoping to get that a little bit higher. Yesterday, it was Ain't No Way won $1,340.
Ain't no way.
Yeah. It's insane, man. I also see, again, what about Mike Vrabel? Hey, why is Mike Vrabel going to leave?
Who's the guy for the Dolphins that you don't like?
Bevel?
No.
Frank Smith? Yeah, Frank Smith to me is vanilla. Like, I can remember watching Dolphins games. I can remember.
You don't think the Mike McDaniel has
maybe
rubbed off a little bit?
I don't know. I think Mike McDaniel's just a great head coach.
And I see my
with
guy.
Tons of talent.
I see my guy Jay Silk in there. My shirt's supposed to be delivered today. I'm waiting on it.
Yeah?
I got another shirt from Jay Silk, so we'll see.
What's up, Arlen? Love the jersey. Believe we can beat the Chiefs. Raiders, again, I really love that jersey. Arlen, appreciate you, my guy. So, Arlen was one of the winners from a jersey giveaway.
Oh, hell yeah.
This one was from, like 2 months ago. We ordered all these jerseys. They got lost in the mail somehow. Finally got them back. So, Arlen, I've been waiting to wear this one for a long time. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you're here watching because I never know who's going to be here, who's not here when I rock the jerseys. What was that?
I don't know. Marsh, can we trade for Kafka?
Oh.
How much to trade for Kafka?
We can just have him. Yeah? Yeah, I figured.
Marsh said a lot of people are asking for a second-round pick for Kafka, but he'll do it for a fourth.
Interesting. Also, O.J. Howard just worked out with the Ravens today. Mark Andrews got hurt. O.J. Howard working out with them.
New signing for the Ravens.
Probably.
O.J. Howard.
Oakland fan. Frank Smith was our tight ends coach. Correct. Yeah, he was part of the whole, what was that, a few years ago. I didn't even remember how many years ago that was. But then he went down to Miami. That was a disaster. But the Dolphins' offense has been a lot better since Mike McDaniel.
Nico.
What up, Nico?
Lads.
Keep Antonio Pierce, bring in a legit OC from college with new innovative schemes, or an NFL guy like Ken Dorsey. I think we all agree that I want something new, something fun, something exciting, but I want innovative. I want something, and I want a coach who can make an adjustment, who's not afraid to fail, because the game that I watched yesterday was they were so worried about Aidan O'Connell failing that they put him in a position to fail. And, that's what you just cannot have. And if that's going to be the case, then to me, you better go out and get an athletic quarterback that when things don't go the right way, you can break away and you can do different things. Like, I see somebody saying he has to use his legs more. You don't want Aidan O'Connell to use his legs more. He doesn't have legs to use. You're not going to draw up plays where Aidan O'Connell is going to use his legs to pick up yards. That's just bad football. If that's what you want to run, you need a different quarterback. Also, Nico Laz, you in. Let's go to Dylan Erickson. Renfro's big play was awesome. Missed his presence on the field. Is third and Renfro back to being a stud on the field.
Wasted that play.
They did waste that play.
Ended up turning it over on downs after that play.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's so many plays yesterday where you're like, I'm just so frustrated by the way everything's going. Is that it?
Is that me?
Is it? Is that your shirt?
Oh, is it to Brett Scott? Maybe it's not me.
I don't know. I don't think they would put your name on it, even if it was to you. Yeah.
Do I just open it?
No. You can't open it. Don't open it.
It doesn't smell like a shirt.
Yeah, I would say just give it to Brett.
Have Brett open it and let me know if it's my shirt.
Have you guys ever watched a man break the law on YouTube? You almost did. Hopefully nobody's going to rat him out. All right, y'all, let's get into this next segment here, Chugs. Woo. Next segment's going to be around quarterback options for the Las Vegas Raiders next season. Because I know some people want Aidan O'Connell, and if Aidan proves to be the guy this year, great. However, though, if Aidan proves to not be the guy, or there's question marks around whether or not Aidan should be the quarterback, that's where we have to have the discussion of who's a better option than Aidan O'Connell. Some quarterbacks in the draft, yes. Other QBs, no. Mark it down. We are going to beat Kansas City.
I don't know why it says OBJ there.
Yeah, I don't either. Is that what it says?
In the little box, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know if it was OBJ or DBJ. I think that's an OBJ. I'll tell you what. The Raiders, to me, if their defense plays the way that they did this week, okay, if they play that way, they will have a chance. And because the Raiders' defense is playing the way that it is right now, they're going to put themselves in a good spot every week. I don't see the Raiders getting blown out anymore because of how great their defense has been playing. The only way they're getting blown out is because
getting their backs blown out.
Well, it's the offense. If the offense just turns the ball over a bunch, I don't know where you're going with that. Is it because of Manscaped? Maybe. Probably is the answer there. All right, y'all. Coming up here on the show, let's get into some quarterbacks that I think the Raiders could potentially consider drafting next year if they don't like what they currently have in Aidan O'Connell. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report on today's show, presented by Manscaped. I know during Thanksgiving, the turkey is the star of the show. Why don't you make your turkey leg the star of the show? And I can help you do that with code Raiders, and all you got to do is go to manscaped.com, where you're going to be able to get 20% off and free shipping. That link's available to you guys down in the comments and in the description of today's show. So coming up here on the Raiders Report, I'm going to be looking at the top 10 quarterbacks the Raiders should consider starting in 2024. Now, I get it. Aidan O'Connell still has a lot of time to prove that he's the guy, which there's still plenty of time that he has time to prove that he's the quarterback for the Raiders going forward. And I get the fact that he was thrown into a bad situation because, let's face it, Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, they put Aidan in a little bit of a dirty situation because McDaniels stunk. Mick Lombardi's not there anymore. Bo Hardegree's been way, way too conservative. And I agree that it was the right thing for the Raiders to do, to put Aidan O'Connell out there as the starter. He's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. He's better than Brian Hoyer. However, that does not mean that he needs to be the starting quarterback in 2024. If he earns it, great. If he doesn't, though, the Raiders got to start planning on what are better options for this team moving forward. But if you decide to move on from Aidan O'Connell, here's what the question needs to be to Champ Kelly, to Antonio Pierce, for everybody right now. What should the Raiders do at the position? Do you go out and do you draft a QB? A lot of talented quarterbacks this year's draft. If you're like, yeah, Mitch, I'm drafting a guy, type draft. If you're like, well, why don't we go out and why don't we sign a free agent quarterback like the Raiders did last offseason? Or could you potentially go out and trade for a guy? Maybe a QB like Kyler Murray is on the market. Go out and trade for him. Sure, you're going to have to pay him a bunch of money, but you can go out and trade for a guy. Or you're like, Mitch, let's continue to roll here with Aidan O'Connell. He's only a rookie. He's going to get better and better as the time moves on. My answer to this question is this. I'm hoping that if it's Antonio Pierce or if it's a brand new head coach, they're going to go out and that they're going to draft a quarterback. And just because they're drafting a QB, now, the guys that I have ranked in my top three, if you go and you draft one of those three, they're going to be the starting quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders. However, though, if you draft some of these other players, the rest of these guys on my list, I would want them to go out and I would want them to compete with Aidan O'Connell. But what's really important about this list is Aidan O'Connell is in this list. The question is, what quarterbacks would I rather draft to start over Aidan compared to what other quarterbacks would I rather draft to have compete with Aidan O'Connell? So everybody ranked above him, I would want him to compete. Here we go. Coming in here at number 10 on my list for Raiders 2024 quarterback candidates is Quinn Ewers from Texas. And if you like talent, Quinn has all the arm talent that you could possibly ask for. My biggest knock on Ewers when he was first coming out of high school was kid was immature. And he was a kid, right? He went to Ohio State. He had a terrible mullet. And then he goes back down to the Texas Longhorns. And he's definitely matured. He's got his body right. He's eating better. He's doing a lot of the things that you like to see a quarterback, a leader do in his, we'll call it second season with the Longhorns, right? So there has been reports out there that he's leaning to go back to Texas. And if I was somebody close to Quinn, I would look at him and say, you should go back to college football for another year. You're not quite ready yet to make it to the NFL, because if he's able to get his footwork down, if he's able to get his tools down, if he can figure out how to throw a deep ball, he's got round one talent. And I don't think many people would dispute that. But when you are as inconsistent as what Quinn Ewers is, that's why he's number 10 here on my list. Let's go to number 9 on my Raiders 2024 quarterback candidates if they don't want to roll with Aidan O'Connell. I got J.J. McCarthy from the Michigan Wolverines. And McCarthy has enough arm talent to succeed in the NFL, and a lot of times it's one of the biggest things that I look for in a QB, because I want to find an athletic guy, but what does the arm talent look like? How does the ball come out of his hands? Is it effortless? Is it easy? Can he throw it on his left side, right side? Can he do it when he's rolling out? His touch passes, to me, do need to get better. If you need to rifle one in there, McCarthy can do it. McCarthy is a great, great guy. You need a fastball 95 down the middle, McCarthy's going to throw it 97. If you need a good curveball, a changeup, a little bit of off speed to float it in there, that's just not quite his game yet. And if you want to succeed in the NFL, you need to be able to have that. I will admit, he has done a good job making plays with his legs, moving outside the pocket, which is something that the Raiders have missed for a long time, and something that he does do a much better job of than Aidan O'Connell. If you guys are looking for Raiders content, 365 days out of the year, though in 2024, you're actually going to get Raiders content 366 days out of the year. We've put a video out on this channel every single day for about 3 years at this point. If you bleed silver and black, if you have commitment to excellence, you might not agree with everything that I say, and that's okay. I don't want you to agree with everything that I say. But if you're the type of dude that, I don't know, if you're cutting the grass on your drive to work, when you're walking the dog, if you're cleaning around the house and you need something to listen to, guess what? I listen to Graphic, I listen to Wasted, I listen to a lot of other Raiders content creators because that's what I like to do. If you're like, I need something to listen to when I do my chores, hit that subscribe button. You're also going to learn a little bit about the Raiders. Let's go to number 8 here on my list, Shedeur Sanders from Colorado. And I'll tell you this right now, from a content creator standpoint, somebody who gets paid as their job to run a Raiders show, there is nobody that's going to bring in bigger headlines than Shedeur Sanders because you've already seen it with Colorado. However, though, from an actual football standpoint, Sanders is number 8 on this list because if I was close to Shedeur, I would say go back to college for another year. You need to be able to sharpen up some of those tools. You need to be able to learn the game a little bit better before you're ready to take that step. And to be honest, he'll probably make more money in college football next season than what he would playing in the NFL, which is kind of crazy. But what I love about him is he has that ability to just keep plays alive. Like sometimes a play totally breaks down. I think it's what makes Patrick Mahomes as great as what he is when the defense does everything right. The quarterback sometimes is just better. It's kind of like when Steph Curry gets hot. You can put a hand up in his face. He can do a fadeaway, but guess what? That shit's still going in. And Sanders has that ability to extend those plays. My biggest knock on him is he does hang on to the football too long. Like, he always looks for the home run. He always looks for the big play. Or he has like that predetermined read where as soon as he calls hike, he's throwing it quick to one side, which has gotten him in trouble a little bit. He has the physical ability and the mental toughness that you look for in a franchise quarterback. If you can deal with all the drama and all the cameras and all the light that's going on right now in Colorado, believe it or not, I think that's training you for what you need to succeed to be the next Raiders quarterback. Let's go to the next name here, and this might be a little bit controversial, but I'm a fan. I like Riley Leonard coming out of Duke, and I think a lot of people, when they look at Leonard, they think, all right, he's just your prototypical pocket passing quarterback, and if people say that, it's because, well, they've never turned on the tape. They've actually never watched him play because his ability to create with his legs and his arm make him a very attractive prospect in my book. His pocket savviness is evident. Like, you can see it right away. When a play breaks down, he knows exactly where he's going to go with the football. Also, one of the traits that I look for right away in a quarterback is their footwork. Like, how good is somebody's footwork, right? Do they have the ability to, when pressure comes, can they navigate in the pocket? Like, Peyton Manning was not a mobile quarterback. Tom Brady was not a mobile quarterback. But when they were in the pocket, it was almost like they could dance. Like, they could move in and out of the pocket. It was almost like a little Victor Cruz salsa dance, if you will. And that's a very, very important quality where you can still keep your eyes down the field, maneuver in the pocket, and I do think Riley Leonard does that well. My red flag on him right now is he's injured, right? And he's been injured this entire season. Ankle, a foot injury. I think he hurt his foot in week 8. I think he hurt his ankle in week 5. I need to see more from Riley Leonard, and unfortunately, you're not going to be able to get to see it. So if you want to draft a quarterback a little bit later on, I do think Leonard is a sneaky name with some upside to consider. However, I would also tell him to go back to college. Coming up here on the Raiders Report, more quarterbacks that the Raiders could start in 2024 if they weren't 100% sold on Aidan O'Connell. But here's the thing, man. If you're not 100% sold on your significant other, and ladies, I'm talking to you, why don't you up the game here a little bit? If somebody needs a stocking stuffer, I got you covered. The holiday season, got you covered. Hell, if you want to get your stocking stuffed, go to manscaped.com, use code Raiders, where you can actually save 20% off, and you're going to get free shipping on the best male grooming products out there. And now, Chugs, Manscaped has just launched a brand new product, which I am super freaking hyped about because I don't know about you, man. I'm ready for Thanksgiving, and I'm ready to dive headfirst into the mountains of mashed potatoes, maybe a little bit of cranberry sauce. Let's talk about the unsung hero, though, of the holiday season. That's Manscaped Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. That's right. It's time to go cold turkey on your old razor and take care of your own turkey leg with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Visit manscaped.com and use code Raiders for 20% off and free shipping, and enjoy Thanksgiving in style with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Gobble, gobble, boys. Seriously, though, this is a product, and I have used a bunch of Manscaped products in years past. Every single time I get to try out a brand new one, and I don't know, I kind of feel like the lucky kid where, remember like when you were a kid, like they would release a brand new toy, or for me, if I would like watch TV when I was a kid and I wanted the toy, I remember I would just like point at the screen. Well, anytime Manscaped drops new products, I'm always like, oh shit, I can't wait to try that out. And yeah, every single product I've ever tried from Manscaped, loved it. It's an easy gift that I give my father-in-law. It's an easy gift that I give my dad. It's an awesome gift that I've given my uncles. White Elephant, you pull up to a White Elephant with some like Manscaped ball toner or like Manscaped boxers, it's going to be the star of the show. Use promo code Raiders at manscaped.com. That link's going to be available to you guys down in the comments and in the description of today's show. Let's go to the next name here for my Raiders 2024 quarterback candidates. It's Bo Nix from Oregon. So, yes, I am telling you right now, I would rather have Aidan O'Connell start than Bo Nix. And I know it's probably a very unpopular opinion with a lot of the people out on the West Coast, considering the fact of what type of year Nix is having right now with the Oregon Ducks, because he's a Heisman candidate. I want to say he's got 2 interceptions, something like 35 touchdowns. Like, the Oregon offense is clicking. But to me, the thing that I love about him is he has improved every year that he's played. And I look at a trait like that, very important. You got to be coachable. And how bad he was at Auburn, when you watch that tape and you see how bad he was, a lot of quarterbacks fold and they're done, right? Like, you have a year like that, done. Well, guess what? He went to Oregon, got better. And you can see that he's gotten better and better and better every single year, which is a trait that I love. It's one of the reasons why I really thought that the Raiders were going to go out and draft Aidan O'Connell. Nix, he has the qualities that you look for in a leader. Like, when I'm in a huddle, I want a guy that looks at all those players and commands their attention. Bo Nix has it right now for Oregon. To me, though, he's got a decent NFL arm, and I mean decent. I've seen some people say, oh, it's a good arm. It's not a good arm. It is a very average arm. He can't throw the ball downfield. He's gotten better at it, but he does a lot of checkdowns. That's how he moves the football. His stats are great, but when you really watch him, and I mean really watch him, I don't think he's the quarterback that a lot of people think he is. If you need a healthy competition, a QB that you don't have to draft in the first round to compete with Aidan O'Connell, I do think Bo Nix is an intriguing option if you want to stick with a similar style offense. Let's go to number 5 here on my list, and guess who? It's Aidan O'Connell. If you're the Raiders, and spoiler alert, I want the Raiders to draft a quarterback. I think I've made that pretty obvious. I don't think that they should trade for one. I don't think that they should sign one in free agency. If I'm the Raiders and you have a brand new head coach in Antonio Pierce, or you have a brand new head coach in whoever you decide to hire, you have a brand new OC in whoever you decide to hire, I want my quarterback. So, if the Raiders make the playoffs this season and Aidan shows significant improvement from what he has already shown, then you roll with him again. If that hasn't been the case, then you are going to look at other players. You are going to look at other routes in terms of who you can go with. Do I think Aidan can turn into a good quarterback after a few years? Yeah, I think he can be a halfway decent quarterback. I don't know if he's ever going to be top 20, but I don't know if I want to wait 2-3 years down the road for Aidan O'Connell to be a fringe top 20 quarterback, because I don't think he's ever going to be a top 10. And if you're not sitting with the top 10 quarterback in the NFL when you're going up against Justin Herbert, when you're going up against right now Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, they look like they're playing a lot better, and Patrick Mahomes, you got to find yourself a quarterback, or else you're just wasting everybody's time. So here we go. Do you want Aidan O'Connell to be the Raiders quarterback in 2024? If you're like, yes, Mitch, I do, type those 4s down below. If you're like, no, let's move on, let's go to somebody else, I want you to type 0 for no. As much as I love and respect Aidan, my answer to this is no. I do not want O'Connell to be the Raiders quarterback next season. And I say that because I believe that he is going to be a good career backup. And if Aidan's the Raiders backup quarterback, awesome. He's a very smart and intelligent quarterback. He can run the offense. He can do all that kind of stuff. But it's the terms of that next level. Like, Aidan's arm is never going to be an above average arm. It's always going to be average to slightly below average arm. His footwork, it's not very good right now. His anticipation, it's okay. His accuracy is the best thing about him. But to me, if you're looking for an upside in a mobile quarterback, and in today's day and age in the NFL, I don't know why you would settle for almost anything less than a quarterback that has that upside. You're working with Josh McDaniels, and a guy that he thought could work Josh McDaniels' offense. I feel bad for Aidan being put in the spot that he's in, but if I can pick from almost any other quarterback in next year's draft, I'm going to go that route, and that's why Aidan's number 5 on my list. Let's go to number 4 here. I'm going to go Jayden Daniels. Yes, I would rather have Jayden Daniels as the Raiders' starting quarterback next season than Aidan O'Connell. You have to totally change up the offense. I get that, but I'm okay with that, and sometimes I'm willing to take a risk. Sometimes you got to be willing to put some money down and roll the dice a little bit, because even if you decide to go with Jayden Daniels, I don't think Aidan O'Connell's going anywhere. Like, he's still going to be the backup quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders, and the fact that I know that, I'm okay getting a little bit ballsy, and that's exactly what Daniels is. I don't know if there's many quarterbacks that I've seen coming out of the draft that are like honestly, like this athletic. And yeah, if the Raiders want to get ballsy, they can also go to Manscaped. Same for all y'all. Manscaped.com, code Raiders. But he has the arm strength to make it at the NFL level. Like, when you watch him throw a football, it comes out and you're like, that's an NFL arm. But needs to improve in the accuracy. Needs to be able to improve on his touch. Needs to be able to improve on his deep ball. He does those things well, and he's gotten better. And that's one of the reasons why I'm willing to take a chance on Jayden Daniels, is because of how much better he has gotten year after year. Like, his jump from last season to this season is spectacular. It shows that he's coachable, and he's the best athlete at QB this year. He's going to go to the combine. He's going to light it up. Remember how much hype Anthony Richardson got? People didn't even know if he was going to go in round 1. Dude got picked at 4. Why? The NFL Combine. What Jayden Daniels is going to do at the NFL Combine is going to wow a lot of people. Let's go to number 3 here on my list. Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr., the lefty. And he's the only lefty on this list, and I know a lot of times when I talk about QBs, I don't always pick the lefty because it's a lot different for a wide receiver to catch a ball. It's just like anybody that's played baseball, right? Like, if you're going up against the lefty pitcher, ball comes out different. It changes a lot of things. But one of the things that I love about Penix, and something that quarterbacks need, is you got to have confidence. And I don't know if there is a more confident passer right now in college football than Penix. And he shows great accuracy. And not only accuracy, like on easy throws, you also need to be able to have a quarterback that can throw it anywhere on the field. Remember the Raiders' offense this season with Josh McDaniels. They didn't really throw too much on the outsides deep because Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't do it. They really tried to focus on the inner routes down the middle, down the seam. With Penix Jr., he can hit every single spot on that field, and he's not afraid to throw it on any single spot on that field, which really opens it up for your entire offense, which is one of the reasons why this is one of the best offenses in all of college football right now. So, to me, my red flag for him is the injury history, because yes, he's been healthy this season, and yes, he was healthy last season. But you look at early on a few years ago, like, dude could never stay healthy. And when you look at red flags, especially when you're going to have to draft this QB, I'm going to guess he goes top 10, because every year quarterbacks go a lot higher than what you think that they're going to go. If you're going to take a quarterback top 10, you have to look at his injury history. Realistically, if you told me, Mitch, you can either have Michael Penix Jr. with the Raiders' first-round pick or Jayden Daniels with a Raiders, I don't know, second-round pick, I might roll the dice with Jayden Daniels in the second round over Michael Penix Jr. in round 1. Here's where it's going to get interesting. It's Caleb Williams for USC. And bottom line is this. If you want to get Caleb Williams, or if you want to get the guy at number 1, the Raiders are going to have to trade up. And they're going to have to give up, I believe, more this year than what they would have had to give up last season because of the quarterback prospects that are right here. He's got the arm talent. He's got the athletic ability. Nobody's going to sit up here and say that Caleb Williams doesn't have those two. And if you do, then, man, you got to start going to get your information somewhere else. He has struggled against pressure this season when he's been blitzed. I get it. That offensive line for USC, it's bad. That defense for USC, it's bad. Some people don't know if they want to be able to go get a quarterback that cries after a game or a quarterback that writes F Utah on his fingernails. My biggest red flag with Caleb Williams is up here. Do I care that he cried? No, to me, I like the fact that he cares. I want people to care about it. But to me, does Caleb Williams have the mental toughness, the mental makeup to be a franchise quarterback in the NFL? That's a legit question. Does he have the mental toughness to be able to deal I laugh when I say it with Raider Nation. Like, we know how we are. We're a tough fan base, and we've been waiting on a quarterback for a very long time to take us to that next level. We haven't had a top 10 quarterback run this team and since what, Rich Gann? I mean, it's been an extremely long time. Sure, you could say Derek Carr in 2016, 2015, but then he got hurt, right? So I guess Derek Carr was playing at the MVP level. Anyway, though, we're trying to find a QB that can compete with Patrick Mahomes, trying to find a QB that can compete with Justin Herbert, a quarterback that can take the Raiders back to the AFC title game, back to the Super Bowl. Williams has the talent, but does he have it up here? And that's why he's number 2 on my list, because if you've watched this show for a long enough time, you guys know that I've always said that the number 1 quarterback on my list is Drake May. And Drake May, to me, has all the tools that you look for in a quarterback. If I had the number 1 overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, I will take Drake May over Caleb Williams. That's how confident I am in him. His ability is unbelievable. His arm talent is spectacular. But most importantly, at the quarterback position, man, you got to be cool, calm, and collected. And nothing really seems like it really razzles this kid. And when I watch him play, and I've said this before, he reminds me of Aaron Rodgers and Justin Herbert. Aaron Rodgers in the sense of when the ball comes out of Drake May's hands, it's effortless. And when you watch Rodgers throw, he wasn't the biggest guy coming out of Cal. Just the arm talent was different. It was just effortless. It was really just like, and just that's how it looks with Drake May. The overall just athletic ability, Justin Herbert is a much better of an athlete than what people give him credit for, especially because when he was on the West Coast, a lot of people on the East Coast didn't really watch him as much. But now you got a quarterback in May who can do it all. He can run. I don't really want him to run, but he can if you need him to. He can go outside the pocket. He can make every single throw. He's got the size, the athletic ability you look for in a quarterback. To me, May's release helps him make every throw on the field. It helps him get rid of the ball quickly. Drake May is the number 1 overall prospect in the 2024 NFL Draft. He's the number 1 quarterback. And if I'm the Raiders and you have an opportunity to get Drake May, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. It's going to cost you multiple draft picks, multiple first-rounders. I mean, I'm going to say at least 3 first-round picks probably to get up to number 1. Do you do it? I don't know. We'll find out. Who do you want the Raiders starting quarterback to be in 2024? I got to know what you guys want. Do you want it to be Aidan O'Connell? Cool. Do you want it to be one of the quarterbacks that I mentioned? Obviously, if I get a vote, it's Drake May. I'll take Drake May over Caleb Williams. But that's a guy you got to trade up for. If it's, well, Mitch, I don't want to take a quarterback in round 1, I'll hope that Aidan Daniels falls to me in round 2. After that, there's a lot of coin flips, a lot of QBs, and I get that. And if that's the route, like you don't get the quarterback that you love in round 1, round 2, after that, I'm probably okay sitting with Aidan O'Connell as my starting quarterback again and really just trying to build a very talented team around him. One more time here, though. Let's go to the Raiders 2024 quarterback candidates for next season. Quinn Ewers, J.J. McCarthy, Shedeur Sanders, Riley Leonard, Bo Nix make up 10 through 6. And then I got Aidan O'Connell at number 5 if they decide to roll with him yet again or get themselves in a difficult position. Aidan Daniels comes in here at number 4. Hopefully, though, you're targeting him in round 2. And then Michael Penix Jr., Caleb Williams, Drake May. That's going to round out my top 10 quarterbacks that I hope start for the Silver and Black next season, whether that be underneath Antonio Pierce, whether that be with a brand new head coach, new offensive coordinator. I want the Raiders to either draft a quarterback or start Aidan O'Connell. Those are the only 2 options that I want. To stay up to date on everything going on around the Silver and Black, because I get it, not everybody can watch me on YouTube. I put out a lot of content as well on Twitter and on Instagram at Mitchell Renz 365.
Oh!
Ow, ow, ow. All right. Who do you want the Raiders starting quarterback to be in 2024, Chugs? I got one more time I got to change.
Quick change.
Quick change.
Let's see. Who do you want the Raiders starting QB to be? And I'm going to throw in a little wrench. What if I told you you could get Justin Fields? How would you feel about that? What if I told you, a lot of people say that you can't, you could get Kyler Murray. I just got destroyed on camera. Oh my goodness. Oh goodness. Call me Mia because I just got destroyed.
Did anyone else see that?
What if I told you you could get Justin Fields or Kyler Murray? Then what would you say? What if I told you? Nope, nope. Confused. Give AOC one more season. Give him one off season. For how much? I mean, I'm trying to swindle the Bears, Justin Fields. Maybe get him for a second and a fourth, second and a third. I don't know. Third round. Mitch said third round pick. I'm not going above it. Salad on the side. If the salad doesn't come on the side, I send it back. Look, Petey, do the Bears take a third for Justin Fields? Quick note. Huh? What? A second? That is true. Sam Darnold did get a second, but we haven't seen him fully in a Kyle Shanahan system yet, have we?
You're talking about Carolina.
It's all good. Yeah, I mean, they're saying no to a third-round pick for Justin Fields, which is fine. That just means we're not going to get him. Like, I'm not going to go above a third-round pick for Justin Fields. Like, I'm not going to try to get a quarterback that I don't think can throw the football that well. Yes, he is a phenomenal athlete. But why am I going to try to go out and get somebody?
If you watch our Falcons channel, PD already told you that Justin Fields is a Falcon. So none of that even matters.
I don't know
Justin Fields,
what is going on.
You are a Falcon.
Ma'am. We'll see here. Who wants a shout-out here on the Raiders Report? If you do, let's get it going, man.
Daryl said he wants Michael Penix.
So why do you say Penix? When you said that, I was like, what did you just say? Is there a joke, or are you just like...
Michael Penix. That's how you say it.
I can't tell if you're serious.
No, that and then Shadwa Sanders.
How wrong can we pronounce names? What's a good one for...
Deep ball from Shadwa.
From Boo Nix.
From Boo Nix.
From Boo Nix. Oh, man. I'm trying to think of another one.
From Drake Ma.
Drake Ma. I don't know who keeps spamming Tiger Woods. Somebody said Trey Lance. Do you want Trey Lance? I don't want Trey Lance. He stinks.
He's the third quarterback in Dallas behind Dak and Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
Even though Cooper Rush should be the starter. That's another conversation for another day.
All right, y'all. Also, remember, we got a 50-50 raffle at the very end of today's show. Zach Martin is in. Mo Chavez is in. Alfredo Ramirez is in. Nico Laz is in.
Senior Steve.
Jamari is in twice, so 6 people are in.
Senior Steve said, loving the shirt. Only 4 miles from my house.
Seaside.
Great vacation spot.
Where is it?
I went with my girlfriend, or you didn't hear that. My fiance's family. Who said that?
What was that?
Martin says Jerome Chugs.
Jerome.
It's like right when you get into Florida on the Panhandle, like right in there. So like right as you get past, is that little spot Alabama right there? Yeah, right as you leave Alabama into Florida, it's like, you know where Destin is?
Yep.
It's 30 minutes past Destin.
I haven't been to Florida in a minute. I would love to. Also, let me...
Michelle Renz.
Yeah, that's usually a good one. Let me go get some water. Hold it down again for a second here. I know.
It's hard to get good help nowadays.
It really is. A lot of times you got to go to Seaside.
Will you fill me up, Turbo? Fun fact, Marshall actually went and visited at the same time that I did this year. We were both in Seaside. Yeah. Straight up. Let me know, who do you want the Raiders starting the QB to be next year? Do you want it to be Rich Gannon, Tom Brady, Kirk Cousins, Zach Wilson? Draft a quarterback. DK, who do you want the Raiders quarterback to be next year? She said, I don't know. Baker Mayfield's an option. Derek Carr. That's very unlikely for Derek Carr. Screw it, Tim Boyle. Hey, let's play a game. Throw out whatever quarterback you don't want to be the Raiders quarterback next year. Who do you not want to be the Raiders quarterback next year? Tiger Woods, Morgan Freeman, DC. Daniel says we have a really good team. We have Jamarcus Russell, Jacoby Brissett, Jimmy G, Cousins, Carr, Jimmy G, Jimmy Glass, Jimmy G, Dak, Jeff Garcia, Kirk Cousins, Jimmy Crapolo, Dylan Raiola, Jimmy G, Wesley Snipes, Nick Falco, Dak Prescott, Al Bundy, Deshaun Watson, AOC. You would not want Deshaun Watson to be your quarterback next year.
What's the question?
So let's have a little fun. Who do you not want to be the quarterback? No, Isaiah, I said, who do you not want to be the quarterback next year? He said Chugs.
Oh.
I said, who do you not want to be the quarterback
He must not have heard you.
Yeah.
I got it. I got you.
Another super chat coming in
Joe
from
Biden at quarterback. Delay game. This is offense. Joe, you're going to have to call hike. Josh I, do you think Marcus Peters should be let go and get someone else?
It's
No.
too late in the season.
I mean, again, I know how frustrating Peters is, but he's still one of the better corners on this team. Like, Nate Hobbs has been incredible of late. Amik Robertson, he'll be back next week. The frustrating part with Marcus Peters is in coverage, he's actually not that bad. When you look at a lot of the numbers from a coverage standpoint, he's actually not that bad. But where he gets frustrating is where I think he just gets tired and he just plays back and he's so afraid to give up the deep play that he's okay giving up the underneath route. And then the worst thing is he just makes business decisions because, well, he's not trying to tackle anybody. Like, if you need a tackle with Marcus Peters, you're not going to get it. There's at times I wonder if people watching this show could run by Marcus Peters because he's just making business decisions left and right, saying, you know what, I'm not tackling that dude. No doubt about it. Josh, appreciate you, my guy. Really, really do. Got another one rolling in here, which I think is an interesting one. Jersey boy, option 1, draft a quarterback. Option 2, Kirk Cousins. Or maybe AOC starts to ball out. I mean, here's what I want to happen. I want Aidan O'Connell to ball the F out. I want Aidan to torch Kansas City. I want him to torch Minnesota, the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Colts, the Broncos. We win the rest of our games every single year or every single game from here on out. And we're like, Aidan O'Connell is no doubt the starting quarterback. He's the guy. That's, of course, what you want. But if you're going to look at Kirk Cousins, like, how much money are you going to give Kirk coming off a torn Achilles? Because I'll tell you this, if I'm Kirk Cousins and I saw Daniel Jones get $40 million, I saw Derek Carr get $37.5, there's no way if I'm Cousins, I'm taking anything less than 40. Cousins is better than DC. He's light years better than Daniel Jones.
That's a no for me, dog.
I'm not paying Kirk Cousins over $40 million.
Mitch would be a good GM and a bad GM at the same time. Because I feel like other GMs would call you, Petey's the GM of the Bears, and he's like, how about a second for Fields? And you just hang up the phone. You're like, fuck you. I'll give you a third and you'll like it.
I mean, sometimes you got to have like those conversations. Like, you got to be a realist, right? Kirk is definitely a top 15, but it's tough with the money. It is tough with the money. Like, you got to make other big-time decisions, too, because I'll tell you this. If you're going to go out and get Kirk Cousins, you're not going to do it for 1 year. Cousins isn't going to take a 1-year deal. I mean, he's going to be looking for a 2-3 year deal. You're going to tie Kirk Cousins to this team for 2 to 3 years? If I'm a brand new head coach, I'm not going to say, that's the guy that I want.
Yeah.
No way. Especially with the injury that he just sustained, there's no way. You got to draft a QB. Whether you like to hear that or not, the only way, based on the way that the Raiders are built, and because the Raiders have missed on so many draft picks, and because they have so many free agents next season, they're going to have to spend money in free agency to bring a lot of those players back, to get a lot of talent. You're not going to have the amount of money that it requires to go out, and I really, truly think, build a great overall team, plus go out and get a quarterback.
So let me ask you this. This scenario. Bears have the #1 overall pick.
Yep.
Cardinals have the #2 overall pick. Bears are going to take Caleb Williams.
Awesome.
Cardinals want to keep Kyler Murray, and they are trading the second pick away. What are you giving up for that second pick?
I mean, it's
They want 3 first-rounders.
done.
Done.
For Drake May, I'd give up 3 first-rounders. I don't think Drake May to me is safer than Caleb Williams. Like, if you were to ask me which quarterback can be the number one quarterback in the NFL.
If it was flipped, if Drake May was taken first, Arizona on the board, and they want to trade that pick at number 2.
I would trade 3 firsts for Caleb Williams. If I'm the Raiders, you gotta do something at quarterback, right? You gotta be able to go out there and do something. You also got to be able to make Devontae Adams happy. Like, you have a talented offense to be able to make it move right now. Like, and the Raiders also haven't done anything with their first round picks. Like, I know it's a dumb thing to say, but I mean, if I would have told you, oh, you could trade Cleveland Ferrell, Jonathan Abram, Damon Arnett, and Alex Leatherwood
for Khalil Mack,
for Caleb Williams, you're like, yeah, all right, I'll probably do that, right? Like, again, you never know how it's going to go, but I am okay giving up 3 first-round picks. What?
Nico said I'd give up 3 firsts and Brandon Bolden.
Yep. Finally, Brandon Bolden's worth a damn.
I'll sweeten the deal a little bit. You'll also get our special teams ace, Brandon Bolden.
Nice. Throwing Jacob Bobenmoyer in there as well. What up, Ben Thrack? AP owned the decision to play for the field goal at the end of the first half yesterday. How does that impact your view as him as a possible head coach for this team? It was the wrong decision to make. It was a dumb decision to make. It was a cowardly decision to make. But he was afraid to put Aidan O'Connell in a situation where I think that they were afraid of Aidan turning over the football, going into half down 10-14, knowing that Miami gets the ball back. And instead we're like, you know what? I'm okay being down just 13-14. But the reason why I hate it is because it literally just sucks out all the momentum you had. I don't care what anybody says. Momentum is a big thing in all of sports. And when you decide to take all the momentum out,
it
gives you no confidence.
It's like you're on a date with a girl. Everything's going good. She takes her shirt off, and then you just give her a kiss on the cheek. You're like, you just ruined it. You give her a high five.
Great job. That's
sweet.
It's a momentum killer. My go-to is, wait, I got to pee real quick. That's Alex is always like, that's the momentum killer. But it was the wrong decision to make, right? Like, but here's the thing that I like that AP did. He owned up to the idea of, I made the wrong call. I did the wrong thing. If that's Josh McDaniels, he's you-knowing and he's umming his way through an answer that makes no sense.
Aidan just didn't feel comfortable in that scenario, and as a staff, I had people in my ear that told me not to do it.
There you go. There's your answer. There's your answer. All right, y'all. We got 520 people watching.
But first,
oh wait, another Nico Laz. Have you seen the report the Jets will try to trade for Devontae Adams this offseason? Would you do it for a first? No.
2.
2 firsts is where the conversation starts. Because, again, you've already paid Devontae Adams for next year. He's already made $16.8 million. It's already been paid to Devontae. So even if you trade him, you're the one paying Devontae to play on a different team.
2 firsts and a third for Devontae and Brandon Bolden.
The hard part about this question, though, is...
Ethan Klein asked the same question, so I'm just going to transition to this super chat. Said, what would be a good trade idea? What would be a good trade with DA and the Jets?
I would say at this point, it's got to start with 2 first-round picks. And then, honestly, I'd probably want even maybe something on top of that. Like, nothing too crazy. Like, if you're going to give me 2 firsts and maybe a 5th or something like that where I could potentially use that 5th to trade up, or 2 firsts and a 4th, I think like that's how you get this conversation started. The problem with this, though, is I'm sitting up here saying I want to be able to find your next franchise quarterback, right? I'll tell you this right now. If I draft a rookie quarterback or if I trade up to get my franchise quarterback, I'm not trading away Devontae Adams because you want that young quarterback to work. Like if you're saying, no, we're keeping Aidan O'Connell, we want him to be our franchise quarterback. Great. You're not trading away Devontae Adams then because that doesn't make any sense because then you're not going to make their job any easier. If you're going to go up and say, hey, I want Caleb Williams and Drake May, I'm going to invest a first-round pick in one of these quarterbacks and then trade away Devontae Adams, I'm sorry. That doesn't make any sense. The year to trade Devontae is after next year because that's when his contract starts getting in the $40 million a year. If you don't want to be put in that situation and you're like, I would just want the draft capital now, you're going to get more draft capital this year for Devontae than you will in 2025 because of how big his contract starts to get.
Anthony wants to know, what are your thoughts on Michael Penix?
I think he's a hell of a quarterback. I mean, you could show the player card. I think his ability to throw it all over the field, he's very intelligent. He's got good footwork, strong arm. His red flag to me is his injury history. It's definitely up there. But he shows a lot of confidence in the pocket, and he's one of those QBs, like, when he gets rolling, when he gets hot, he's not afraid to chuck it around. Doesn't turn over the ball a lot. His field vision, I think, is the reason why he doesn't turn over the ball a lot. Always keeps it down the field. He's an athletic quarterback. He can run, doesn't usually run. But when he gets put in those situations, he can, no doubt about it. Sprays it all over there from Ben Thrack. Neil says Derek Carr would have won that game yesterday. You're probably right. Derek Carr probably would have won that game yesterday. However, I will continue to die on this mountain. It was 100% the right move for the Raiders.
He would have won the game yesterday, and then the following week against the Chiefs, the Raiders' offense would not cross the 50-yard line.
Yep. Move on from DC, guys. It's time to move on. All right, y'all. One more time here.
Nile still probably calls his high school girlfriend once a week and is like, are you sure we can't work this out? I mean, I took you to homecoming. Nile, you're 30.
Yeah. But you were my first. And that's sometimes the way that it is, man. And I get it. People want to get tied down to the past, or they get tied down to something because that's what they know. But you can say that Jimmy Garoppolo is worse than Derek Carr. You can say that Aidan O'Connell right now is worse than Derek Carr, but it's also the right move to move on from DC.
Jay Silk asked, how much will the Penix cost?
Wow. Well, you might have to ask the Penix gallery over here. I don't know.
All right, last segment. Directly after this segment, we're doing our 50-50 raffle.
Correct.
Last chance to get in, $10 Venmo to Mitchell Renz 365 if you want to get in.
Adriano Martinez, you in. Right now, 7 people. Actually, that's cap. Justine Gonzalez in. Right now, 8 people in. So 10 to win $40. 10 to win $40. Bye.
Hi, my name is Paul.
I don't think I've ever seen Tiger Woods' name spammed more in a Raiders chat than this one.
Did he just, like, something happen to him? Or?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Or is that Tiger Woods? Notice me.
Yeah, I know, right? If Tiger Woods is watching the show, that would be pretty mind-blowing.
I go by Akamlad Nolad.
Oh, my God.
Say my name.
Say my name right.
It's Christina.
Oh, boy. Hang on a second here. Apparently, the next time Taylor Swift will be at a Raiders game is Christmas Day. Or Chiefs games against the Raiders. I ruined that. It is what it is. Whoop-de-doo. Christmas Day.
I heard she'll be on the stream as well for Christmas.
Dude. Definitely in the title.
Does Taylor Swift produce the show?
There's a good chance. I'll tell you this. The amount of blonde hair that I've pulled out of areas that I'm not proud of from that wig is insane. It's everywhere.
Alex just keeps on giving you the side eye.
Oh, literally the first day that I wore it, I had the text her, and I'm like, just so you know, I'm going to have blonde hair on me. Like, it's...
I'm not going to answer any questions.
It's blonde hair. Blonde hair, don't care.
Don't ask me about it. I just have blonde hair everywhere.
Adam Martinez, what's up, man? What's up, guys? Great work. Would y'all hit up the Cowgirls for Trey Lance? I just don't think Trey Lance is very good at football. Like, 6th-round pick. I mean, the Cowboys traded the 4th for him. He's a 3rd-string quarterback. He's behind Cooper Rush. 6th, 7th-round pick for Trey Lance? Let him compete. Like,
Let Trey cook.
I've seen enough of Trey Lance to know that I just don't think he's very good. What up, OC Raider? Yesterday's MVP. Sup, Mitch? Did you get my Addy for the MVP ball? Yes, I do have your address. Our shipping department handles a lot of the shipping stuff on Wednesday. So we'll do a lot of the dot connecting, if you will. We'll get that handled and we'll get that shipped out to you.
A lot of connecting dots.
By Wednesday, just so you know.
Last segment around Patrick, Teddy, Graham.
Ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Let's do it. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up here on today's show, I want Patrick Graham to be the Las Vegas Raiders defensive coordinator in 2024, no matter what. Today's show is presented by Panda Supps, and right now Panda Supps has got their best deal of the year. Use code Black Friday for 30% off at pandasupps.com. That link's going to be available to you guys down in the comments and down in the description. If anybody's like me that, let's be real, sometimes you pack on a few pounds during the holidays. With Panda Supps' workout supplements, I'm telling you, they're going to help you slim up in all the right areas. So on today's show, I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to say that Patrick Graham deserves to be the Raiders DC in 2024, no matter what. And the reason why I'm saying that, the reason why I feel like I have to make this point is because when you bring in a new head coach, usually, right? When you bring in a new head coach, that usually means that they're going to bring in their own OC. They're going to bring in their own DC. And if Antonio Pierce is named the new head coach, I think that they end up keeping Patrick Graham. But if they decide to not keep Antonio Pierce and they decide to go with another candidate, I'm telling you what, whoever that head coach that they bring in, they better keep Graham, because if they don't, then they're not paying attention to how much better this Raiders defense has been. So Graham was hired in 2022 by Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. I can remember going live and we celebrated because I was a big fan of Graham. I was a big fan of his overall defense. I thought he was a very intelligent coach, and I know at the beginning of 2022, there were some bumps in the road, right? Let's call it what it was. There was definitely some bumps in the road. But right now, for the first time in a very long time, this Raiders defense looks legit. And this Raiders defense has been playing outstanding football for not just this season and not just with Antonio Pierce at their helm, but they were also playing some pretty damn good football last season as well. And if you don't know that, maybe you don't watch this show, or maybe you were sleepwalking, or maybe you just follow the narrative that the Raiders defense has always been bad. I'm telling you right now, what this guy has been able to do with the talent that he's been given is not getting nearly enough of attention, and I'm trying to change that. So here's your opportunity. You call the shots. Do you want Patrick Graham back next season with the silver and black as their defensive coordinator? If the answer to that is yes, type some PGs down below. If you're like, Mitch, I want to look for a new defensive coordinator, that's fine. I want you to type, nah, Patrick Graham back in 2024. My answer, I think it's pretty obvious. The Raiders would be dumb to move on from Patrick Graham after the season. Not only for what he's been able to do this year, but the player development aspect is another huge, huge reason why I want him here. When you think about the amount of different defensive coordinators that the Raiders have had over the past 5-6 seasons, and finally this team has found a DC that now they're going into the second year. Look at how much better these players are playing in year 2. And just imagine if they actually did something in the offseason to build around the defense. I want Patrick Graham on this roster. So coming up here on the show, presented by Panda Supps, 5 reasons why the Raiders should keep Patrick Graham as their defensive coordinator next year. I also see Daniel Capskeen and Linnell Loco down in the comments saying, get those likes up. If you love the silver and black, and if you want Patrick Graham here, click that like button. For nonstop Raiders videos all year long, plus it's 100% for free. I know a lot of times when I speak to, I'll say, the older demographic, shout out to my dad, who also, for those of you watching this live, turned 64 today. Happy birthday to him. When I say subscribe, some people are like, I'm not paying for that. Here's the thing, you don't have to. You can click subscribe. If you don't like what you see after a week, you can unsubscribe. It costs you absolutely nothing. But if you find yourself looking for a podcast, or if you find yourself looking for something to watch, listen to, maybe while you're taking a walk, while you're in the shower, doing some chores around the house, I want to take this opportunity to say, clean around the house, make wifey happy, and also learn about the Raiders a little bit. It's a win-win, plus it's free. All right, here we go. The Raiders, why they should keep Patrick Graham. I got 5 reasons here on today's show. You see this statement here? It's kind of It almost doesn't even want to come out of my mouth. The Raiders' defense is good. The Raiders' defense has been playing well. And when you look at a lot of the numbers here, yards per game, 21st. Passing yards per game, 11th. Rushing yards per game, 27th. Points per game, 13th at 20.5. And then takeaways, they have 14, which is more than what they had last season. But the problem is this. Some people look at these numbers right here, okay? They look at these numbers right here, and it does not paint the proper picture because the Raiders' defense has played a lot better than what these numbers show. In fact, the Raiders' defensive stats are misleading because of how bad the offense has been. Las Vegas is 30th in plays per game. This is on the offensive side of the football. And tied for last in turnovers. Patrick Graham is doing all this despite Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler's focus on improving their offense this offseason. So again, think about how much money the Raiders had this offseason, how much money they spent on Jimmy Garoppolo and a lot of the offensive pieces, how they had 12 draft picks, and how, yes, I get it, they took Tyree Wilson in round 1, but after that, a lot of those other draft picks on the defensive side of the football, let's face it, have been a disaster. They've been a hit and a miss, right? Byron Young's not even playing. Jacorian Bennett's been absolutely terrible, and a lot of the other players are just being healthy scratches week in and week out. So, knowing how bad the offense has been and how many short fields that this Raiders defense is going up, plus how much they're on the field, those numbers don't do it justice. The Raiders might have a top 10 defense, and Patrick Graham deserves a lot of credit for that. Let's go to this one. A huge improvement in year 2. What I like to see from my coaches is how does the team look in the second year? How does the team look in the third year? Are they getting better? Are they getting worse? It is clear as day that this Raiders defense is way better in year 2. They understand the vocabulary. They understand their assignments. Like, you got Trevon Merrick in his second season. He's been really good. Malcolm Kuntz getting his run finally. He's been a lot better. The amount of players in this second year, Nate Hobbs has been better this season. Going back, looking the way that he did when he was a rookie. Like, Robert Spillane, what he's been able to do. Again, that's more of just, I think, him being the right fit overall and finding those players that take on that Raider personality. But Graham in 2023 compared to 2022, total yards per game, improvement. Passing yards per game is the biggest one here, a massive improvement. Sure, the rushing yards per game is a little bit of a down, but I'm probably going to blame Dave Ziegler, and I'm probably going to go out and blame Josh McDaniels for not putting any concentration on the defensive line. At points per game, Raiders, much better. Takeaways, again, already more than what they had last season. The bottom line is this. Patrick Graham was not given a lot of talent this season. He wasn't. But he has done a phenomenal job to get this unit to play together, to get this unit to understand their assignments. And when you look on paper, there is nobody out there that wears silver and black that rocks the Raiders. Hell, I bet you if you were to ask a lot of the Raiders players, do you think that your defense would be playing as well as what it is right now, considering of what the Raiders did in the offseason? The answer to that is no. Patrick Graham deserves a lot of credit. The Raiders players deserve a lot of credit. And I know we're sitting up here saying I'd run through a wall for Antonio Pierce. I know a lot of those Raiders players would run through a wall for Patrick Graham. The Raiders players are finally starting to learn a defensive system. Why would you change it on them? Because it's working. And if you don't think it's working, you're not watching what I'm watching. Also, if you don't think that Panda Supps products work, it's because you've never tried them. I want everybody that just feels like, you know what, maybe I need some brand new protein. Maybe I need some pre-workout to motivate myself to get in the gym a little bit more. Well, right now, Panda Supps is offering their best deal that they've ever offered. Use code Black Friday for 30% off at pandasupps.com. I request and I encourage you to try their brand new protein. The mint chocolate chip tastes just like mint chocolate chip ice cream. And then their cinnamon toast crunch tastes like the milk that you would get from the bottom of a cinnamon toast crunch bowl. Like, you're going to eat it, and you're almost going to be like, I don't understand how this is that healthy for me. And not only is it healthy for you, it's 30 grams of protein, about 140 calories, no added sugar, like 1 gram of sugar, if that. And then Sinister, their brand new pre-workout, I have to work out in the morning, okay? And sometimes getting up in the morning after a crazy watch party, after doing whatever, it's not that easy. Yeah, I love being able to take my dog Chuck on a walk, but it's the, now I got to go to the gym. You take some of that Sinister pre-workout, you are ready to freaking go. On top of that, if you can see, for a limited time, they're also going to throw in, if you spend over $50, okay? They're going to throw in a shaker, and I believe that's also a carrying pack there. So and a free bag. So there you go. $50 spent, 30% off, best deal of the year. Shout out to Panda Supps for sponsoring the Raiders Report. All right, let's go to the next reason here why they better keep Patrick Graham next year. The defense showed flashes last season, and I do think that the Patrick Graham hype would be a lot better if people actually sat back and remembered or looked at how good the Raiders defense played at the end of last season, because it's not being talked about nearly enough. And I get it. Week 17, Week 18, the Raiders were bad defensively. Do you know why? If you go back and you watch those two games, look at how many of those defensive starters did not play. How they were rolling out practice squad guys, multiple practice squad guys. And when you're going up against the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers, you're going to struggle defensively. However, from weeks 11 to 16, the Raiders defense was allowing 18.3 points per game. That was second best in the NFL behind only the San Francisco 49ers, who at the time, and still do, have one of the best defenses in the league. So from weeks 11 to 16, when that defense was healthy, they started playing like a top 2 defense. And now this season, you can see it. It's a very good defense. For them to slow down Miami the way that they did in week 11 speaks volumes. For them to hold the New York Jets, I get it, it's the Jets, to not a touchdown. You're holding an NFL team to not a touchdown, speaks volumes. To what they did against the Giants, I get it, it's the Giants, speaks volumes. You go back and you look at a lot of these other games this season, when the Raiders weren't scoring 20 points, that defense was still showing up, despite the offense not being able to move the football, despite all the turnovers. This defense is playing a lot better than what they are getting credit for, and I'm here to say you need to pay attention, and you got to give your flowers to the defense. The last are two more here. The Raiders players like them a lot, and from the guys that I talk to on the defensive side of the football, Patrick is like this. He's like almost like the opposite of Antonio Pierce, where Antonio Pierce is going to like, hey, man, he's the talker, he's this, he's that. Patrick Graham's more of a laid-back type of dude, which, you know, you got to have that balance. But the reason why players respect him is because he knows what he's talking about, and he's a very, very good teacher. So one of the players that I talked to is a fan favorite, and he always just talks about the fact of how great of a teacher Patrick Graham is. You can know X's and O's. It's easy to know X's and O's, at least I hope so, if you're an NFL coach. But can you break plays down? Can you help teach other players their assignments? Like, you're supposed to go here on this play. You're supposed to go here on this play. If it's man, you do this. If it's zone, you do this. I don't want you thinking on this play. I want you to pin your ears back, get after him. If you see this look, I need you to drop back. A lot of coaches don't have that ability, but the good ones do. And Patrick Graham has that ability to be a great teacher. If you go back and you watch my videos when the Raiders hired him, that was one of my number one things that I said about Graham. He's a great teacher. And you combine that great teaching aspect, you combine that with a Raiders defense led by Max Crosby, Robert Spillane, guys who just go balls to the wall all the time, and then you add that to somebody like Antonio Pierce, who has that player background, who has that coaching background, who has that I'm going to run through a wall for you background. That is a great, great pairing. I got one more reason coming up here on the show, but if anybody ever wants to interact with me outside of YouTube, there's 4 places that I think that you could probably do it. One, you can always hit me up on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Mitchell Renz 365. Same thing with IG. Locals, I go live every single Wednesday. RaidersReport.locals.com. You can join there. And I've had recently some people asking me for some birthday wishes for, I don't know, parents. The holiday season's right around the corner, and if you don't know what to get your husband, you don't know what to get your son, you don't know what to get your wife, you don't know what to get anybody that watches this show, hit me up on Cameo, at Mitchell Renz 365. Yes, you can get me. However, though, you can't wrap me up.
It's a Mitch in a box.
Da-da-da-da. Best Raiders defense in a long time is why the last reason. Also, Mitch in a box. It's not a bad Halloween costume. I'll try it. I'll try it out with Alex, see if she likes it. But this has been the best Raiders defense in a long time, and why would you go away from that? Like, the Raiders fans, the nation, has been begging, and I mean begging for a good defense for a long time. And the fact that the Raiders are allowing 20.5 points per game right now, it is the lowest points that they have allowed since 2002. Since 2002. So you're telling me we're going to move on from that? Like, again, I don't know what the Raiders are going to do with their defensive coordinator spot. And the reason why I felt like I had to make this video is because if they bring in a new head coach, that new head coach usually changes up the regime. They change up. They bring in their own guys. All I'm saying is this. If it's Antonio Pierce, you better keep Patrick Graham. And if it's Antonio Pierce, I anticipate that it will be Patrick Graham. But if they decide to go another direction, if they decide to hire a Ben Johnson, a Jim Harbaugh, I don't care who it is. I don't care what your coaching pedigree is. I am a big believer in if it's not broken, you don't need to fix it. And right now, for the first time in a long time, this Raiders defense is not broken. In fact, it's running really well. So whoever the head coach is next season, you better keep Patrick Graham. All right, nation. Cheers to everybody watching us live right now. We got 500 people here. Can we get to 500 likes by the end of the show? That'll be my last request by the nation. And then we got one more duck race, or the only duck race for 50-50 raffle. And then I'm getting the heck out of here. We do right now, as it stands, have 8 people in our 50-50 raffle. And now we have a few more. So I see Sal Mena in. That gives us 9.
I see London.
And then Jose Ramirez
I see France.
wants 2. So right now we are at 11. 11 people in the race, which means that you would win $55. Right? Does that math check out? Yes. So 10 right now to win 55. After this duck race, I'm going to get on out of here. I'm going to skedaddle. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my Monday. Get ready for some awesome Monday Night Football. Let's go Eagles. And then tomorrow, Chugs and I, we will be back for another Raiders 3-segment live show. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'm probably going to look ahead at the Chiefs game just because it's a monstrous game. Maybe a little NFL playoff picture, if you will. Agent Red, Mitch and Chug, score predictions for tonight. Give me the Eagles to win. 31-29. I'm going to go weird score.
I don't feel right about this game.
Why?
Just because everybody's saying that the Eagles are going to win this game.
I want the Eagles to win.
I've had multiple of my friends that are Cowboys fans be like, oh yeah, the Eagles are winning this game. It's giving me vibes that the Eagles aren't going to win this game. I don't know why.
As long as the Chiefs lose, I'm okay. Luis Macedo, you in. James
Luis Macedo.
Guevara.
Remember when Despacito was just huge?
Also, James Guevara's got 2, just so you know. So 12, 13, 14, and then Daniel freaking Jimenez.
Are you shitting me?
I'm not shitting you. We got 15 people in, man. We got 15 people. Daniel, can I get a happy birthday? Is it your birthday, Daniel? Which, now that you say that, I actually kind of remember you telling me that your birthday is the same day as my dad's. Because I remember when we met out in California 2 summers ago, my dad was going to come to Cali to party at that Raiders party that we went to, but he got really sick. He actually had COVID. That's the first time he had COVID. So, Daniel, is it your birthday? Yes or no?
He had the Rona?
Happy birthday to Daniel Jimenez. That's freaking awesome, man.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Daniel freaking Jimenez. Happy birthday to you.
And Mitch's dad.
And many more. Nico Laz, no, not yet, my guy. Again, when we order them in bunches, so we'll put the order in soon. It might actually have already been ordered. It's just not here yet. And again, when you order 15 custom jerseys, sometimes it just takes a little bit of time. We are 2 likes away. Also, Eric Mendoza, you in. So right now, $10. Winner would get 80. Senior Steve says the NFL is mobile quarterback oriented. I don't disagree with you. Josh I says, you know what, man? Get me in there. 17 people in the race. Anthony says, I was like 500. That's what's up. What up, Sherry Lynn? Happy birthday to everybody that has a birthday today from El Loco.
to everyone who celebrates.
To anybody that celebrates birthdays and it's your birthday today, happy birthday to you.
All right.
C-Hop, let's go get Justin Fields. What are you trading for him, C-Hop? Raiders podcast in. Winner now gets 90 doll hairs. You ready?
We got to get 2 more. We can't give away 90.
You're right.
It's got to be 100.
Here's the problem, though. I don't know. The math checks out.
We need 2 more.
2 more. Who's going to do it? Who's going to do it? I know, C-Hop, you keep saying Justin Fields. My question to you, C-Hop, is how much are you trading for him? Because I'm talking to the Bears guys here. They want a first-round pick. If Sam Darnold's going to go for a 2nd and a 6th, they want a 1st for Justin Fields. Are you giving up the first-round pick that you have for Justin Fields?
Well, are you?
Adam Sweeney says no way. Nico Laz, a 4th-rounder and a vending machine. But what does the vending machine sell?
C-Hop says absolutely.
You would trade a first-round pick for Justin Fields? All right, we just disagree. I don't even know. I'd say
do
third,
we have our
maybe.
last 2 competitors in the duck race?
I'm going to refresh my phone one more time. David Vergara Jr. So now we have 19. 19 people in.
It's almost worse. 95 instead of 90?
All right, how about this? I have an idea, okay? Put my name in, and if I win, I'm going to give it to Daniel Jimenez for his birthday. Winner gets 100.
Okay.
Yep, that's what we're doing. If I win, I'm giving $100 to Daniel Jimenez for his birthday. Oh, sorry, Daniel, we got an extra one. Oh, now they're coming in. All right, Jamari. Holy shit. You guys were like, oh, Mitch is going to play? All right, now I'm in. Jamari Murray in. That gives us 20. Stephen Bird in, 21. Ishmael Marquez in, 22. Matthew Lozano in, 23.
So 115.
115. 115 to the winner. Yep.
All right. Let's run it. And I thought, why not go El Clasico?
What is that? What is El Clasico? Oh, duh, Mitch. Come on, get it together, man. Get it together, man.
The one that brought it all together.
The one that got it all started.
And because I'd gotten some slack for the last couple races,
What do you mean?
I will shuffle it a couple. People were saying I wasn't shuffling them enough.
I thought you said you got slacked about the races.
All right, here we go.
Okay. Wait, one more time. Actually, just one more time. All right, that's a good. That's a good. Oh, go back. I'm just kidding. All right, here we go. Winner is gonna get $120 because Luis Macedo just got another one in there. Winner gets $120.
Okay. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle.
Okay, here we go. Good luck to everybody. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Winner gets $120. Here we go. And out to an early lead here, I want to say is Matthew Lorenzo, but just by a bill. Then Alfred Ramirez got an interesting spot. It's Luis in the dinosaur costume with an early lead right now. But watch out for the wizard down there, Vergara Jr. Jamari Murray rocking his Chug space helmet in an interesting spot. Adriano Martinez, I don't even know if he can see or if he's got cucumbers over his eyes. Some people think it's a duck. It's actually just Steven Bird out to an early lead. Watch out for Nico Laz in his Cheetah Girls outfit. You never know what you're going to get there. Luis Macedo again says, you know what? Let me show you my George Washington impression. We got 15 seconds to go here. Mo Chavez in a very interesting spot. Starting to fall back. Oh, Adriano falls back. It's Jamari Murray. He's got the most ducks in his race. I don't know. Justine Gons. I think it's going to be Justine Gons or Nico Laz. Justine.
Nico.
Suck it, Nico. Suck it, Nico. Everybody, as soon as they saw Nico, they're like, no freaking way, man.
No way.
There's no way, man. Congratulations. Second place. Second place. Justine. Let's go.
Justine just put in the chat, ha 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 ha.
All right, how many times has Justine raced? So listen to this. Justine has raced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. It's her second win. It's a big win. That's a big win. Quack, quack.
Also, Sean, I realized I forgot to go to your super chat right after our last segment.
Shawnee, AOC would look like a superstar if he had the line of the 2016 Raiders. He's a rookie and needs time to throw, but when he has time, he looks legit. I'm going to disagree with this statement. Would he be better behind that offensive line? Yes, there's no doubt about that. But Aidan O'Connell compared to what Derek Carr was in 2016, to me, they're just not even close to the same quarterback. Aidan is a pocket passer, but Derek also was much better of an athlete. And then after the back injury, couldn't be the athlete anymore. Derek had a much stronger arm. Like, Aidan behind that offensive line, of course, would do a better job. But the problem is, Aidan O'Connell, to me, he's not a top 32 quarterback. He might be right now based on the amount of injuries that are in the NFL going on right now and how many backup quarterbacks are playing. But if you told me at the very, very beginning of this year, you put all the healthy starting quarterbacks on the field at one time, is Aidan O'Connell a top 32 quarterback? The answer to that is no. Aidan is going to be a good backup QB in the NFL, and that's what he is. Could you put a good backup quarterback behind an offensive line like that? Yeah, like, to me, Aidan's going to be like a Jarrett Stidham, where I know Jarrett Stidham's limitations. Can Jarrett Stidham win you a few games? Yes, he can. If you put him in the right situation, he's going to have some success. But at the end of the day, Jarrett Stidham's a backup. At the end of the day, Aidan O'Connell is a backup quarterback. He's going to get better. He still gives us the best chance to win. He's better than Jimmy Garoppolo right now. He's better than Brian Hoyer. You're going to have to roll with the punches. So we'll have to see. All right, guys, we're getting ready to head on out of here. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Again, Daniel freaking Jimenez, happy birthday to you. I want to make sure she got her money. Justine says she got it. Awesome, $120. Salute to you. Thanks for always playing. And then, Dad, happy birthday to you as well. The next time that you're going to see Jeremy Chuggs and I is also going to be the last time that you see Chuggs and I for this week. We will not be live on Thursday because it's Thanksgiving. We will be live tomorrow, 3 Raiders segments. And then the next time we'll be live after that, Sunday, Raiders, Chiefs. And I'm just going to tease a little bit. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. All right, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your night. Much love from Jeremy Chuggs and I. We'll see you guys tomorrow live on the Raiders Report, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. Have a good night.